Chapter 958. The Hungduan mountain range was located in the east of Tsang State. It was a steep mountain range that was thousands of feet high and stretched for thousands of miles. Not only was the spirit qi in it thin, but it was also mixed with some demonic qi. To the east of the Hungduan mountain range was Jin country, which was close to Wei country. Although it was about the same size as Wei country, its spirit qi was poor. At most, there were some qi refinement cultivators. After these cultivators had some cultivation, they would find ways to leave Jin country and go to other cultivation countries to cultivate. Tsang State was close to the Hungduan mountain range. There was a Wupan mountain, which was a famous market for itinerant cultivators in Wei country. At this moment, in the pavilion on Wupan mountain, there were 7 men and women of different appearances. Their bodies flashed with spirit qi. They were all foundation establishment cultivators. Fellow Taoist Song, you must be joking. The Miraculous Gate is the strongest immortal sect in Wei country. There are many nascent soul cultivators guarding it. How could it be destroyed without any warning? A white-haired old man said in disbelief. The young man sitting at the side said, 7 days ago, I went to the Spirit Sect's market square and found that the place was empty. There were no immortal cultivators in the Yuyang mountain range either. The Spirit Sect's great forbidden array stood there quietly, without any signs of life. The immortal cultivators there seemed to have been slaughtered. The white-haired old man heard and said hesitantly, It can't be. Maybe it was the internal competition of the Spirit Sect. At this moment, a young woman in white said, 5 days ago, I happened to be near the Yunling mountain range. There was an earth-shattering battle there. The spirit qi of heaven and earth was chaotic. Fear flashed in her eyes. Half a day later, there were foundation establishment cultivators of the Miraculous Gate escaping. The ones chasing them were sword cultivators of the Heavenly Sword Sect. When the others heard this, they were all shocked. Heavenly Sword Sect. Could it be that the Heavenly Sword Sect and the Miraculous Gate are fighting? It can't be. How could the Heavenly Sword Sect have the ability to destroy the Miraculous Gate? Sitting at the head of the pavilion was a middle-aged man. He had strong dermic powers and was the only mid-stage foundation establishment cultivator in the group. He clapped his hands and waited for everyone to quiet down. He said slowly, There is no need to argue. The news of the Miraculous Gate's destruction is true. The white-haired old man asked, Fellow Taoist Su, since you're so sure, could it be that you've obtained some insider information about the Miraculous Gate? The middle-aged man said, You should know that the reason why Mount Wupan is able to gain a foothold in Tsang province is because I have some friendship with fellow Taoist Yu of the Miraculous Gate. 4 days ago, fellow Taoist Yu was severely injured. He secretly came to Wupan Mountain and asked for my help to secretly send him to Jin Nation. He was the one who admitted that the Miraculous Gate was destroyed. After he finished speaking, the pavilion suddenly quieted down. Everyone knew who this disciple of the Miraculous Gate was. This person was only in the middle stage of foundation establishment, but he was the descendant of a nascent soul senior. He had a high position in the Miraculous Gate, but he actually wanted to use the power of a rogue cultivator to escape to the barren land of Jin State. Even if the Miraculous Gate was not destroyed, its power would be gone. The young man broke the silence. Big Brother Su, you must have a plan for gathering us here. The middle-aged man said expressionlessly, Whether it's the Miraculous Gate or the Heavenly Sword Sect, they're not something that we can fight against. A cold look flashed across his eyes. I've already captured fellow Taoist Yu alive. This time, the new and old forces will be replaced. He'll be our proof of allegiance. This time, I've called everyone here to let everyone visit the Yunling mountain range together and send this disciple of the Miraculous Gate. What do you all think? The young man said, I agree. The 6 of us are used to being lazy. It wasn't easy for us to find a suitable place to cultivate in Wei State. If we don't cling to the cultivation sects here, we might be chased back to Jean's state. Hearing this, everyone nodded silently and agreed with the middle-aged man's decision. Then, they began to discuss the details. These people did not realize that in the sky above their heads, there was a man who was invisible. This man's forehead was covered in a cold sweat. As a core formation cultivator of the blood refining sect, his knowledge was not something that the rogue cultivators below could compare to. The miraculous gate, which had a great cultivator overseeing it, was actually destroyed. This can't be done by the Heavenly Sword sect. It must be another power with a great cultivator. Fortunately, I didn't rashly sneak into the Yunling mountain range. Otherwise, I would be in danger. Now that my blood refining sect has just finished the war in Qi state, an unfamiliar power has appeared in the neighboring state of Wei. I have to hurry back and report this. The man's figure flashed and turned into a faintly discernible light, shooting into the distance. Exhaustion. This was the only feeling in Li Qianfeng's consciousness. It was as if he had fallen into an endless darkness. He could not feel the existence of his body. It was as if his consciousness had left his body. After an unknown period of time, a trace of cool aura suddenly appeared and slowly nourished his soul. His consciousness gradually became clearer, and he soon felt the weakness of his body. As soon as he tried to move, his whole body felt sore. His weak muscles could not even lift a finger. On the other hand, he could move the muscles of his devil arm. Apart from his body, his magic power had all disappeared. Even the qi, blood, and demonic power in his devil arm were the same. With the awakening of his consciousness, Li Qianfeng felt an incomparably rich blood essence appear and sink into his demonic arm. The exuberant blood essence adhered to his shriveled muscles, causing the muscle fibers to vibrate at a unique frequency. Rich and pure demonic qi poured in from the outside and was absorbed by the devil arm muscles. A deep voice appeared in Li Qianfeng's mind. Qianfeng, cooperate with me to circulate the demonic body refining technique. Send the demonic power into the bones of your shoulder. This is the voice of the martial ancestor. Although he did not have the strength to open his eyes, Li Qianfeng's consciousness had already awakened. He quickly mobilized his consciousness and followed the demonic body refining technique to move the skinny muscles of his devil arm. After a while, the demonic power in his devil arm muscles entered his scapula. A slight tingling pain came from his bones. It was like the numbness of a growing bone. Li Qianfeng was at a loss. He was already a physique cultivator in the bone-tempering stage. His bones had long been branded with a fire attribute imprint. How could this kind of magic attribute bones be compatible with demonic power? Could it be that his bones had been devoured by the qi and blood demonic power while he was unconscious? Concentrate your mind and condense the demonic power into liquid in your bones. Li Qianfeng subconsciously followed Lu Kuan's instructions and mobilized his consciousness to compress the demonic power. He was surprised to find that the process was incomparably smooth. A drop of liquid demonic power directly appeared in his scapula. Very good. Continue to absorb demonic qi and transform it into liquid demonic power. Hearing this, Li Qianfeng stopped thinking about why his bones could contain demonic power and continued to circulate the technique. Rich demonic qi continued to flow into his devil arm. Under the transport of his devil arm muscles, it entered his bones and turned into liquid demonic power. After half a day, all his bones and even his bone marrow cavity were filled with liquid demonic power. The aura emitted from his body was like that of an early Foundation establishment demonic cultivator. At this time, Lu Kuan's voice appeared in his mind again. Your blood essence is severely damaged and your muscles are withered. Follow the circulation method of the blood condensation stage in the body refining demonic body refining technique. Refine your marrow and replace your blood. Li Qianfeng recalled the body refining demonic body refining technique in his mind and urged the demonic power in his bone marrow cavity. Traces of dark red blood slowly formed and flowed out through the veins and blood vessels in the depths of his bones, spreading throughout his body. As he continued to circulate his demonic power, his mummified body seemed to fill out a lot. His skin also appeared to have the color of blood. It was not until the 5th day that Li Qianfeng's eyelids trembled slightly and slowly opened. Chapter 959. In the depths of the Devil Abyss, inside the stone house where Shi Jingtian used to be, Lu Kuan sat cross-legged on the ground and looked at Li Qianfeng, who had just woken up. He said with a relaxed expression, "Not bad. You have recovered some blood essence, and your withered body has been nourished. You are out of danger." Li Qianfeng's body trembled. He wanted to stand up, but then he found that his muscles were weak and he fell back down. Lu Kuan waved his hand and said, "No need to bow. Tell me, what happened to your body before you fainted?" Duan Yun only knows that you killed a seriously injured core formation cultivator. Li Qianfeng was stunned. He recalled the scene and said with a hoarse voice, "Grandmaster, when facing a core formation cultivator, I could only rely on the devil arm to resist. Because the level of my blood essence and demonic energy was too low, the devil arm's strength was insufficient. Under the critical situation, I released the shackles of my blood essence and demonic energy." His eyes showed a mixture of excitement and fear. This evil energy seemed to have been coveting for a long time. In just a few breaths, it devoured all my flesh and blood essence and soared to the level of early foundation establishment. It seemed to have condensed all the flesh and blood in my body, causing the devil arm's strength to double, reaching 70,000 pounds. Lu Kuan raised his eyebrows and said, "According to Duanyun, you shattered the opponent's body through his mana shield. This is a unique ability of the devil arm. How did you activate your early foundation establishment level blood essence and demonic energy?" Li Qianfeng struggled to support his upper body and said slowly, "Grandmaster, my body was in pain at that time. I subconsciously injected all the mana in my bones into the devil arm, the early foundation establishment level blood essence, demonic energy, and mana intertwined and exploded with a terrifying energy. Then, the devil arm surged with a unique vibration power." Lu Kuan heard this and his expression was a bit strange. "Strange, the devil arm was not refined by you and there is no demonic energy in your body. Could it be that the destructive power alone could activate the spirit formation in the devil arm and use the power of the Zhen Yuan palm?" Thinking of this, he stretched out his palm and absorbed the life force into his bones. The mana in his palm was separated into mana and mana, intertwining into a destructive force. Then, waves of invisible waves appeared on his palm. Li Qianfeng's eyes widened. He was very familiar with this fluctuation. It was the vibration force that he had generated when he activated the demon arm. Listening to the Grandmaster's tone, this seemed to be a kind of battle technique of the body cultivator. There was actually such a way to use power. Lu Kuan closed his eyes and sensed for a quarter of an hour. He asked curiously, "Although the power of destruction has some effect on the elemental spirit spell formation, with your foundation establishment stage demonic power, it is unlikely that you can activate the elemental spirit spell formation." He pondered for a while but still couldn't figure it out, so he asked, "When I found you, your chi, blood, and magic power were all holed up in your demon arm. Although the magic power imprint on your bones had been obliterated, your bones were still intact. It seems that the chi and blood magic power was suddenly interrupted when it was devouring the bones, and then its vitality was greatly damaged. Do you know what happened?" Li Qianfeng revealed a look of recollection. "At that time, I had exhausted my blood essence, and my limbs were weak. My chi, blood, and magic power were attached to my bones, that's right. The blood of that core formation stage cultivator fell on my demon arm, and his chi, blood, and magic power all returned to my demon arm. It seemed that the power of destruction emerged again, and then I fainted. The flesh of a core formation stage cultivator is not as strong as your bones. How could it attract the chi, blood, and magic power to devour it? He couldn't help but stand up and walk back and forth. He muttered. The vibration force turned that person into a pool of blood, and the golden core in his body naturally turned into fragments. Could it be that the golden core attracted the chi, blood, and magic power? Li Qianfeng's mana has been exhausted. The power of destruction could only come from the collision between the golden core's spiritual power and the chi, blood, and magic power. Could the slight increase in the quality of the demon arm be because of this power of destruction? Thinking up to this point, Lu Kuan's spiritual sense poured into Li Qianfeng's demon arm. The silver blood essence that sealed the chi, blood, and magic power separated and turned into a blood mist that shrouded the scapula, separating the demon arm from Li Qianfeng's body. The greedy and evil aura of the chi, blood, and magic power spread out. Because of the dense devil chi nearby, it appeared to be somewhat active. However, it was afraid of the silver blood mist, and only slowly flowed in the bone marrow cavity. Lu Kuan's hand flashed with light, and a golden core appeared. He gently pinched the golden core with his fingertips and peeled off some of it, scattering it on the skin of the demon arm. Qianfeng, don't control the chi, blood, and magic power. Just let it do what it wants. Li Qianfeng was confused, but in the next moment, he revealed an expression of disbelief. The originally calm chi, blood, and magic power in the demon arm suddenly became abnormally excited. The demon arm's muscles wriggled rapidly, wrapping the fragments of the golden core full of spiritual power into it. The concentrated chi, blood, and magic power of Li Qianfeng's flesh, blood, and magic power seemed to have turned into countless tiny teeth, grinding the golden core into even finer pieces and integrating them into the blood-like magic power. Soon, they returned to the bone marrow cavity. Li Qianfeng immediately felt a continuous throbbing pain. The chi, blood, and magic power wrapped around the golden core as if it was chewing some kind of food, and an inexplicable destructive power overflowed. What's going on? Lu Kuan's eyes flashed with a golden light as he observed attentively. The chi, blood, and magic power mixed with flesh and blood essence were actually treating the golden core as food. At the same time, the chi, blood, and magic power of the golden core were rapidly consumed, spitting out waves of destructive power. Lu Kuan's pupils shrank. Wait, this destructive power. It's actually mixed with the flesh and blood essence of the chi, blood, and magic power. It's nourishing and strengthening the demon bone. How can this be? The destructive power has a pure destructive power. If the demon bone was still a material, it would be fine to refine it, but the demon arm bone is a demon treasure. This kind of energy not only doesn't cause damage to it, but it also enhances its material? It was no wonder that Lu Kuan was in disbelief. When he was in the bone treasure stage, the destructive power of blood and magic power was also a kind of destructive power. It constantly refined the bone material, making it reach the level of a magic treasure. When the bone treasure reached the level of a magic treasure, the more powerful destructive power would destroy its spirituality while refining the bone treasure. It would take time to nurture it. Just like a battle treasure, without nurturing it, it could only be destroyed. Under the observation of the Golden Eye divine ability, Lu Kuan found that the current scene was completely different from the middle stage of the bone treasure stage. The destructive power contained the flesh and blood essence. While refining the demon bone, the chi, blood, and magic power inside was nourishing it. The strengthening of the material of Li Qianfeng's demon arm should be caused by him unconsciously absorbing the shattered golden core of that core formation cultivator. That's not right. The blood and magic power devoured the golden core. In addition to consuming a lot of magic power, a part of the flesh and blood essence would also enter the demon bone along with the destructive power. Logically speaking, the blood and magic power would decline. But the blood and magic power before was still at the early stage of the foundation establishment stage. Thinking of this, Lu Kuan continued to observe. After about half an hour, the blood and magic power devoured the golden core fragments, leaving only a trace of blood and magic power in the bone marrow cavity. The pure demon chi around the demon arm slowly poured in. Then, the trace of blood and magic power entered the bone layer, and the flesh and blood essence and magic power gradually reappeared. Lu Kuan murmured as if he had discovered a new continent. The flesh and blood essence that went out with the destructive power fused with the demon bone for a short time. When the blood and magic power recovered, it would be spat back out. The blood and magic power in Li Qianfeng's body is completely different from what I remember. The fact that he can activate the demon arm is probably related to this strange destructive power of blood and magic. Lu Kuan paced back and forth, a myriad of thoughts in his mind. The blood and magic power came from the profound cloud body refining art. Hong Yuntong had combined the bloodline of the great long-armed ape and the enlightenment array of the demon race modified by the Yuan sect. It could be said that it was the closest to the demon race's body refining energy. He murmured, "No, it should be said that Li Qianfeng's blood and magic power is the closest to the demon race's." After Hong Yuntian passed away, Hong Yuntian inherited the cloudy body refining art. He used his chi, blood, and devil power to cultivate the devil zombie body refining art. He discovered that the devil power of the devil clan to refine their bodies ran in the body, not in the meridians and dantian. After Li Qianfeng's blood and magic power was generated by the origin array of the profound cloud body refining art, it has been operating in the demon arm. The demon arm is refined from the demon race's bones. After it devoured the flesh and blood, it entered the foundation establishment stage. It does not exist in the dantian and meridians, but operates in the body. This blood and magic power is very similar to my magic power. In its normal state, it is the same as magic power and magic power. After devouring the golden core, it is equivalent to a state of cultivation, which can strengthen the demon bone. This blood and magic power can walk a different path of body refining : Chapter 960. Lu Kuan turned around and looked at Li Qianfeng. He sighed and said, "Qianfeng, you're lucky to be able to survive this time. How come I didn't see that you were so lucky?" Li Qianfeng looked at Lu Kuan blankly. "Martial Ancestor, what happened? According to the characteristics of the demonic chi, my bones should have been devoured. How could it be broken?" Lu Kuan looked as if he was recalling something. He slowly said, "Chi and blood demonic energy originated from the ancient devil clan. The devil clan's cultivation methods all have the effect of refining the body. Therefore, the cultivators of the devil clan are much stronger than the cultivators of the human clan. The demonic chi of the cloudy body tempering art was developed by the ancient cultivators in order to explore the path of refining the body. Unfortunately, the cloudy body tempering art cultivates the meridians and dantian in the wrong direction. The tempering energy of the demon race is the same as that of us body cultivators. It circulates in the flesh. Therefore, the demonic chi of your body is closer to that of the ancient demon race than the cloudy body tempering art." Li Qianfeng muttered, "Ancient demon race." Lu Kuan continued, "After killing the enemy, the demonic chi of your body became extremely weak. It needed to devour the bones to recover. The bones of a blood condensation cultivator have already undergone a round of tempering. It's not that easy to devour. The demonic chi of the blood must first erase the magic imprint on the bones before it can enter. At that time, the core formation cultivator's golden core fragment fell on the demon arm. The demonic chi of the demon race obeyed some kind of instinct and returned to the demon arm to devour the golden core. After devouring the golden core fragment, the demonic chi of the blood became even weaker. In addition, there was no one controlling it. It could only hide in the bone marrow of the demon arm and slowly absorb the demonic chi to recover. It was unable to devour the bones for a short time. Li Qianfeng felt the demonic chi flowing in his bones and blood. He asked, "Martial Ancestor, in other words, disciple has switched to cultivating a demonic body-tempering art?" Lu Kuan nodded. "Correct. It's only a body cultivator. Whether it's magic power or demonic chi, it only helps us temper the body. Compared to magic power, demonic chi is more suitable for tempering the body. However, demonic chi is more tyrannical. Only the flesh of a blood condensation cultivator can withstand it. Previously, due to the existence of the fire attribute imprint, other than the muscles on your demon arm, your main body was unable to cultivate magic power. However, after being devoured and refined by the vital energy and mana, the aura of the physical body's mana has completely disappeared. Even the bones have a trace of mana attribute. Only then can the physical body truly contain mana. The physical body of the blood condensation realm has already broken through the bottleneck of condensing chi into liquid and refining marrow into blood. The muscles have lost the aura of magic power and are almost dried up, unable to be mobilized. The magic power cannot condense into liquid in the muscles, so it turns into liquid magic power in the bone. Then, it refines the marrow to produce blood, catalyzing the blood magic power. With the nourishment of the blood essence, your shriveled muscles and damaged internal organs have recovered. As long as you continue to cultivate for a while, your fleshly body and cultivation base will recover. What's different from before is that the physical energy has turned into magic power. At this point, Lu Kuan said with a solemn expression, "Qianfeng, this is a true path of body refining demonic arts. Are you willing to try and step onto this brand new path?" Li Qianfeng was stunned. A real body-tempering demonic art? A branch path of body refinement? Grandmaster has walked the path of body refinement. Do I also have the opportunity to be a pathfinder? Thinking of this, Li Qianfeng's barely recovered blood boiled. He was born as a martial artist and suffered the ravages of cultivators. By chance, he became Lu Kuan's disciple and entered his current realm with the help of a body refinement art. He even killed a seriously injured core formation cultivator. Thanks to the Grandmaster's path of body refinement, even mortal martial artists had the possibility of cultivating. It simply changed the future of countless people. Now, the Grandmaster told him that he could also walk a new path. How could he not be excited? Disciple is of course willing. Li Qianfeng felt the mana flowing in his body and said excitedly, "Grandmaster, after Disciple's muscles have recovered, according to the progress of body refining demonic arts, Disciple's bones are not magic treasures, but demonic treasures, right?" Lu Kuan said, "That's right. If it was in the past, I wouldn't have let you walk this path. Because even if you succeed in forming the core and merging the bones and enter the bone treasure realm, the next step is still a headache to nurture the bones. The body refinement art I created is to cultivate blood magic power through a demonic blood-bone refining technique. It and the magic power of the bones mutually annihilate each other, producing a destructive energy to speed up the tempering process. Body refining demonic arts cultivate bone magic power, which is of the same origin as blood magic power. It can't produce destructive power. Although demonic power is more suitable for tempering the body than magic power, it still takes a terrifying amount of time to temper the bones to the level of demonic treasures." Lu Kuan looked at the demonic arm and said, "But it's different now. This demonic arm that contains blood magic power is a treasure to speed up your cultivation. You only need to feed the demonic arm a golden core, and the blood magic power will produce a destructive power that contains the essence of flesh and blood. This unique energy can temper the demonic arm, and naturally, it can temper the body and bones." He revealed a cruel expression and said, "Through the blood magic power, this unique body-refining energy can be transferred to the bones. As long as there are enough golden cores, the cultivation speed of body-refining demonic arts can even surpass the orthodox body-refining arts. After entering the bone treasure realm, the level of bone magic power is much higher than the blood magic power, and the bones are almost impossible to be devoured. This way, you can still use the previous magical power to let the blood magic power devour and transfer flesh and blood, unifying the power of the body to the demonic arm and releasing brute force that surpasses your current realm. Your combat power will be amazing. Li Qianfeng looked excited. He had personally experienced it. The blood magic power devouring flesh and blood almost doubled the strength of the demonic arm, and its combat power was terrifying. Relying on its super strong combat power, it kept killing core formation stage cultivators and devouring their golden cores to improve its physical cultivation. This body-refining demonic art was simply born for killing. Lu Kuan said, "At present, this body-refining demonic art has two basic requirements. First, only blood condensation stage body-refining disciples can cultivate this body-refining demonic art. Otherwise, they won't be able to cultivate muscle magic power. Moreover, the internal organs of a blood condensation stage body cultivator aren't strong enough to attract blood magic power. Otherwise, the internal organs will be devoured and the body will be completely dead. Second, the bones of the body must be specially refined demonic treasures, preferably the bones of the four limbs. They can be used as lodging points for the blood magic power to ensure the independence of the body's bones. The stronger the technique, the higher the risk. Kid, you have coincidentally passed the biggest obstacle of the body-refining demonic art," Li Qianfeng said. Grandmaster said to let the blood magic power devour the whole body, cleanse the body, and erase the bone imprint. Lu Kuan nodded and said, "Yes, only this way can the body cultivate demonic power. The risk and difficulty of cleansing the body with blood magic power is extremely high. Just like what you experienced, after the blood magic power is devoured, it will be destroyed with the body's magic power. Then, it will consume the blood magic power. Then, it will need the assistance of a golden core to attract the blood magic power at the critical moment." Lu Kuan looked at Li Qianfeng and said slowly, "This is the current obstacle. This is still the difficulty found so far. If you enter the bone treasure period with magic power, you will definitely encounter more risks in the process of using blood and qi magic power." Li Qianfeng said firmly, "Grandmaster, rest assured. Since I have promised you, I will definitely persevere." Lu Kuan showed a satisfied expression. Among the second-generation disciples, Li Qianfeng was worthy of the title of number one. Although his physique was much worse than Duanyun's, his luck was extremely high. In addition, Lu Kuan valued Li Qianfeng's character of self-sacrifice in order to protect his companions. When he was still a martial artist, he sacrificed his right arm and used the Yuan fire-rupturing fist that he couldn't control. Facing a core formation expert, Li Qianfeng didn't hesitate to release his blood magic power to devour the body and use his strongest attack to protect his companions. According to Lu Kuan's understanding of blood magic power, what this evil energy really thirsted for was a strong body. If it was a disciple with a bad character, it might attack his fellow disciples of the body-refining pavilion. Li Qianfeng was much more relieved. During the Battle of the Yunling Mountains, there were many disciples of the body-refining pavilion who lost their limbs. When a body cultivator loses a limb, it is equivalent to losing a part of their body. They are weaker than their peers. When they reach the blood condensation realm, body-refining demonic arts will be the best choice. To eliminate the risk of body-refining demonic arts killing fellow disciples, the Oath Stone is the best solution. As this thought flashed through his mind, Lu Kuan began to talk to Li Qianfeng about his experience in body refining, especially the use of blood magic power. Chapter 961. Recently, The cultivator clans and itinerant cultivators in Wei Nation had discovered that the disciples of the Heavenly Sword sect and some unfamiliar cultivators had appeared frequently in various provinces. They seemed to be hunting down the disciples of the Miraculous Gate. These people carefully investigated and found out a piece of news that sent chills down their spines. The Green League and the Miraculous Gate, two of the three major cultivator sects in Wei Nation, had been silently exterminated. The Green League's encampment had been reduced to ruins. The Spirit sect in the Yayang mountain range was dead silent. The disciples of the Miraculous Gate in the Yunling mountain range had all disappeared. In their place were the disciples of the Heavenly Sword sect and a group of unfamiliar cultivators. Therefore, these neutral cultivator clans and itinerant cultivators used various connections to inquire about the situation from the Heavenly Sword sect. The Heavenly Sword sect seemed to know their concerns and directly released two important pieces of news. The Heavenly Sword sect had changed its name to the Heavenly Sword Pavilion and belonged to the Body Refining Pavilion. The Green League and the Miraculous Gate had been exterminated by the Body Refining Pavilion. From now on, Wei Nation only had the Body Refining Pavilion as an immortal cultivation sect. The neutral cultivators were all in an uproar. Body Refining Pavilion? They had never heard of it. Body refining immortal cultivation? There was a body refining technique in the cultivation world? The Heavenly Sword sect, which had nascent soul sword cultivators, was only a branch of the Body Refining Pavilion? The Green League and the Miraculous Gate had a total of 6 nascent soul cultivators and many core formation cultivators. They had been exterminated by a single sect just like that? Although they did not have any impression of the Body Refining Pavilion, the facts before their eyes made everyone understand that the Body Refining Pavilion was definitely a terrifying sect. It was even more powerful than the Shangqing sect in the past. The small clans and itinerant cultivators who had received the news all contacted the disciples of the Heavenly Sword Pavilion. They wanted to establish ties with the Body Refining Pavilion that had appeared out of nowhere, especially the small factions that had interests with the Green League and the Miraculous Gate. The reason why they could survive in Wei Nation's cultivation world was because they were inextricably linked to the immortal cultivation sections. Now that the Body Refining Pavilion dominated Wei Nation, if they did not establish ties and take the initiative to show goodwill, they would be exterminated. In the Cloud Ridge mountain range, disciples of the Body Refining Pavilion were busy everywhere, expanding the mountain, renovating the cave, and modifying the magic formation. Shiriner and Gui Linger, the two nascent soul stage cultivators, were both guarding the mountain range. In the depths of the demonic abyss, an ear-piercing sound of friction could be faintly heard, and the ground was also shaking slightly. Inside the stone house, Li Qianfeng was no longer there. In the middle of the ground, where the teleportation array had been, there was a hole in the ground. The sound and tremors were coming from there. The hole had a diameter of 3 to 4 feet, and could only fit one person at a time. There were marks on the walls of the hole, and they were more than 100 feet deep. At the bottom of the cave, Lu Kuan's burly body floated upside down. His 10 fingers were clawed, and each of his fingertips flashed with a glaring silver vortex. Accompanied by silver claw marks and sparks, large amounts of gray stones were rapidly dug out and disappeared into his ribs. About 100 feet below the ground of the stone house was the layer of broken dragon stones. Lu Kuan had a hard time digging with only the bone treasures in his hands. Therefore, he had modified the whirlpool finger technique, and applied the penetrating force to each of his fingers. These broken dragon stones, which were difficult for nascent soul cultivators to destroy, were forcibly dug out by his whirlpool claw. Another broken dragon stone was dug out, and a large amount of pure demonic qi gushed out from it. I'm only 20 feet away. Lu Kuan's body spun rapidly, and his 2 claws danced, leaving countless silver claw marks. There was an invisible force field under his feet, and a huge force burst out, shattering the last layer of broken dragon stone. Then, He fell down. Lu Kuan looked at the broken dragon stone gate not far away, and nodded satisfactorily. For him, who did not have the power of nascent soul, the teleportation array could not be used at all, so he might as well dig a tunnel. Shaking off the stones on his body, Lu Kuan walked into the treasure house and came to the shelf where the jade slips were placed. He scanned it with his divine sense, and took the ancient refining method in his hand. He stroked the rough and ancient jade slip and sighed softly. It's a pity that many of the refining methods in this book have been replaced by the Yang clan's new method. Only the refining method of the Oathstone still has some value. Lu Kuan had glanced at this refining method when he came to investigate before, but he did not study it much. At this time, he was focused on reading the contents related to the Oathstone. The refining method of the Oathstone was in the refining inheritance of the Yang clan. Lu Kuan also asked for a copy from the Heavenly Sword sect and the Spirit Transformation sect. The one he was reading now was the one in the collection of the Miraculous Gate. After an hour, Lu Kuan showed a thoughtful expression. Although the refining methods of the various clans are different, the main materials used are exactly the same. No wonder most of the sects don't have the Oathstone. This material is too hard to find. Lu Kuan knew a lot about the Oathstone. When he sneaked into the blood refining sect, he used the Oathstone there to establish a restriction. Later, he used the secret technique of the Black Fiend Demon King to block the restriction effect of the Oathstone. The Oathstone was the cornerstone that carried the blood essence and divine soul of a sect's disciple. Using it as a medium, cultivators of different bloodlines could also make a bloodline oath, just like cultivator clans. As for the secret spell that the Black Demon King used to resist the Oathstone, it was a secret spell that allowed the spellcaster's divine soul to form a unique contract with the Black Demon Soul, generating a trace of demon soul power in the divine soul. Relying on the unique power of the Demon King, the restriction of the Oathstone was blocked. The secret technique of the Black Fiend Demon King has a certain reference value, but the most important thing is the refining materials. Lu Kuan put the jade slip back and walked out of the treasure house. With a wave of his hand, an 8-foot-high pale white stone appeared on the ground. This huge stone was the Oathstone he took from the Red Refining sect after he killed Tu Tianqing. It exuded a weak blood qi fluctuation, and the spirit light was dim. The restriction spirit pattern inside had been destroyed. Lu Kuan pondered for a moment and threw out a few jade bottles around. Then, his hands turned into claws, and silver vortexes lit up on his 10 fingers. His figure flashed around the Oathstone, waving the vortex claws and digging out layers of white gravel. As the Oathstone was peeled off layer by layer, it gradually revealed pale yellow runes. Soon, it was shattered by an invisible force and turned into pale yellow powder, exuding a cool aura and sinking into the jade bottles on the ground. After the time it took to brew a cup of tea, the Oathstone had completely shattered and scattered on the ground. The light yellow powder also filled the 2 jade bottles. Lu Kuan held an egg-sized stone in his hand that exuded a pale white halo. His nascent soul middle stage spiritual sense surged out and wrapped around it. Lu Kuan could feel that there was an extremely weak consciousness in this stone. If it wasn't for his powerful spiritual sense, he might not have been able to discover it. After a moment, the white halo on the stone dimmed. The consciousness inside seemed to have lost its life and completely dissipated. Lu Kuan looked at the ordinary-looking stone and pondered, it really is a treasure of heaven and earth that has its own consciousness. Without the soul consolidation rune, the Oathstone will be destroyed, and the consciousness inside will dissipate. According to Fairy Fong Yuan, even in ancient times, heaven and earth treasures with consciousness were extremely rare. Most of them were nurtured by spirit-severing stage cultivators for a long time and developed their consciousness. The Oathstone of the spirit-severing sect was nurtured by the spirit-severing stage Ancestor with great magical power. The Sword Valley of the Sky Sword Pavilion, which is full of sharp intent, also has a chance of producing the Oath Stone. Thinking of this, Lu Kuan murmured, "If my judgment is correct, the main material of the Oath Stone can be used." After a moment of silence, he waved one hand and collected the fragments of the Oath Stone. He jumped and disappeared into the tunnel at the top. Chapter 962. In the sky above Wei Kingdom's Lu province, a man and woman were flying rapidly. The man was tall and sturdy, and his body flashed with a shocking treasure light, as if a magic treasure was shooting in the air. The other woman had a graceful figure and a pair of light blue eyes. She only had a layer of spiritual light shield around her body, and she did not use any flying technique. It was as if she was being dragged by an invisible force. Fang Yuan looked around curiously, and was very interested in the source force field around her. This kind of force did not rely on any magic power or spells to exist. Her divine sense could not even detect its existence, but the magic power shield could sense this invisible force. This should be the physical ability that the elder ancestor mentioned. This is a special ability that only the Demon King's physical body has, and the Pavilion Master has it at the nascent soul stage. Could it be that the physical body of a body cultivator has surpassed the demon race of the same level? Just as Fang Yuan was thinking, Lu Kuan suddenly said, "Fairy, your sect knows all kinds of demon beasts like the back of your hand. How much do you know about the long-armed demon ape?" Fang Yuan was stunned. Lu Kuan called her out this time, saying that there was a mystic realm related to demon beasts, and invited her to take a look. Could it be related to the long-armed demon ape? These thoughts flashed through her mind, and Fang Yuan said, "Our sect does have some records. It is said that in ancient times, before the demon race appeared, the long-armed demon ape was the strongest race of the demon race. There are several demon kings in this clan. Their bloodline is very powerful. Even after reaching the demon king level, they still haven't taken human form. Although they can't cast spells or activate magic treasures like other demon cultivators, they can still wield magic treasures and weapons due to their similar size to humans. Their combat power is terrifying." When Lu Kuan heard this, he remembered the long-armed demon ape with golden hair and a giant staff in its hand. It was the battle between this terrifying long-armed demon ape and the unknown Thunderbird that caused the space storm, and coincidentally allowed him to cross over. The bloodline of the long-armed demon ape in Lu Kuan's body came from the long-armed giant ape. However, what made him feel strange was that the long-armed ape in his memory had golden fur. In that battle, it did not use the heaven-piercing roar. Combining the memories of the bloodline in the Yuan secret realm and the words of the Black Fiend demon soul, he asked, "Your great ancestor recognized that I have the bloodline of the long-armed demon ape. Do you know the origin of the demon ape?" Fang Yuan hesitated for a moment, then nodded and said, "Grandmaster once told me that the long-armed giant apes were the main force against the devil race in ancient times. Later, for some reason, several demon kings all fell, and the long-armed giant apes fell into the hands of the devil race. The demon race seemed to want to study their bloodline. Who knew that by chance, they would create such a terrifying demon beast like the long-armed demon ape. At that time, during the war between the devil race and the immortal cultivators, a long-armed giant ape in the hinterland of the devil race suddenly broke through to the demon king level and broke away from the control of the devil race. It also used a kind of earth-shaking roar, which stirred up the rear of the devil race. Only then did the immortal cultivators of the human race have the opportunity to severely injure the devil race. Speaking of this, Fang Yuan could not help but secretly glance at Lu Kuan. She remembered the earth-shaking roar in the depths of the Yunling Mountains. Obviously, her pavilion master could also use the legendary long-armed giant ape's magical ability. Lu Kuan heard this and believed most of it. In the bloodline memory he obtained in the Yuan secret realm, before the young long-armed ape was taken away by the Yuan sect, he heard a earth-shaking roar. Combined with the information of the Hong brothers, the battle of the devil race at that time was coming to an end, which was very consistent with Fang Yuan's description. Lu Kuan asked again, "What happened to the long-armed giant ape clan later?" Fang Yuan sighed and said, "According to the Grandmaster, the long-armed giant ape clan created by the devil race was just a flash in the pan. In the ancient war of the devil race, the long-armed giant ape clan was almost exterminated. However, the Demon King-level long-armed giant ape seemed to have ascended to the upper world." Lu Kuan nodded gently. He learned from the old ape of the Black Mountain Ape clan that the long-armed giant ape that caused him to time travel was not only at the Demon King level. Now it seemed that it was likely to be the long-armed giant ape that had ascended to the upper world. It showed the body of the golden giant ape, which should have sealed or suppressed the long-armed giant ape bloodline. After all, Lu Kuan himself only showed the long-armed giant ape magical ability after he came into contact with the true devil intent. The space storm did not sweep me into the upper world. Instead, I landed in the immortal cultivation world's Lu Zhou of the Wei Kingdom. Then, I quickly met Xiao Jin, the six-eared macaque bloodline. Deducing from this, Lu Kuan asked again, "Fairy Fang Yuan, in the ancient records of your sect, other than the long-armed giant ape, is there any record of another powerful ape called the Wise Stone Monkey?" Fang Yuan revealed a puzzled expression. "Wise Stone Monkey? Is this also an ancient demonic ape? But in the records of the powerful ape clan, other than the long-armed giant ape, there is only the Black Mountain Ape clan that follows the Pavilion Master. Then, what about the six-eared macaque and the red-bone horse ape?" Fairy Fang Yuan's face was blank. Lu Kuan murmured, "That shouldn't be. They couldn't have been unknown in the ancient age. The three great divine monkeys' magical ability is even more powerful than the long-armed giant ape in certain aspects. The Wise Stone Monkey, the long-armed giant ape, the six-eared macaque, and the red-bone horse ape were the four chaotic world monkeys in the ancient legends on Earth." Lu Kuan used to listen to myths, but when he crossed over to the immortal cultivation world, he discovered that they were real. In the cave of the Black Mountain Ape Clan's island, other than the scenes of the Great Demon War and the War of the Demon Race, there were also three ancient demonic apes. Other than the long-armed giant ape, there was also a handsome and arrogant ape, and a big-faced horse ape that was full of spirituality. Based on the ancient legends on Earth, the handsome ape should be the Wise Stone Monkey, and the big-faced horse ape should be the red-bone horse ape. Although the six-eared macaque was not in the murals from the magical ability, Xiao Jin obviously had the bloodline of the six-eared macaque. Fairy Fang Yuan listened to Lu Kuan's whisper and asked curiously, "Pavilion Master, the two demonic apes you mentioned are actually stronger than the long-armed giant ape? What exactly are they? What a dense demonic chi!" Fang Yuan let out a soft cry of surprise and used her divine sense to explore the mountain range below. She saw an eggshell-shaped yellow cloud covering the ground, enveloping a valley. Dense demonic chi was being emitted from here. But just as Fang Yuan's divine sense was approaching, a terrifying and frenzied intent rushed over, scaring her so much that she hurriedly retracted her divine sense. "We're here." Lu Kuan's origin force field surged and shot downwards with Fang Yuan, landing on the ground in the eastern part of the valley. Fang Yuan looked at the half-kilometer-wide yellow fog in front of her. Her face paled as she said, "Pavilion Master, this is the secret realm related to demonic beasts that you mentioned. This intent, could it be the remains of a demonic king?" Lu Kuan looked at the familiar valley and slowly nodded. The frenzied intent of the spiritual demonic valley is something that even nascent soul cultivators find difficult to resist. Only existences at the demonic king level and above can create such a secret realm. Lu Kuan had searched the souls of many nascent soul cultivators. Furthermore, the Heavenly Sword sect, the Spirit Transformation sect, and the Miraculous Gate were all sects with a long history, allowing him to understand some information about the deity transformation stage. The deity transformation stage seemed to have a strong connection with one's consciousness. In the cultivation world, all kinds of places with powerful consciousnesses were produced by the long-term influence of deity transformation stage existences. For example, the heavenly sword sect's sword valley filled with a sharp intent was left behind by an ancient deity transformation sword cultivator. The spiritual demonic valley in front of them was naturally the remains of a demonic king. When Fairy Fong Yuan heard the words spiritual demonic valley, she could not help but ask, could this demonic valley be related to the spiritual stone monkey that you mentioned? Chapter 963. Lu Kuan said slowly, the spiritual demon valley is widely known among the low-level cultivators of the Wei Kingdom. It was originally an ordinary mountain range, but one day the spiritual energy of heaven and earth surged, and the demon aura soared to the sky, and this demon valley appeared. The spiritual demon valley opens once every 3 months, but only Qi condensation cultivators can enter. Cultivators with a higher cultivation base will be attacked by this crazy thought. It's not time to open yet, and there are no cultivators nearby because of the vibration caused by the body refining pavilion. Fong Yuan looked carefully at the layer of yellow clouds and saw the black lightning flashing from time to time. Her face turned slightly pale and she said, Pavilion Master, the Demon King's intent here seems to be very strong. It gives me the feeling that it's even stronger than our sect's ancestor. Lu Kuan nodded gently and said, I've searched the souls of Yu Lianqing and the old guys of the Green League. They have a deeper understanding of the spiritual demon valley. This crazy intent can't be resisted by the early nascent soul stage divine sense for even a moment. As for the middle nascent soul stage, it can barely hold on for 10 breaths. It's said that the great cultivator of the Shang-Qing sect had to retreat after 10 breaths of time. Since then, no high-level cultivators dared to enter here. However, Qi refinement cultivators treat this place as a treasure ground and often go in to hunt low-level demon beasts. Lu Kuan felt the throbbing of the blood in his body. The feeling of blood connection lingered in his heart, as if there was a relative in the valley. He paused and said, according to the records of the miraculous gate, the spiritual demon valley has been in the world for more than 2,000 years. Although I don't know who named it spiritual, this place is definitely related to the spiritual stone monkey at the Demon King level. And it's very likely that the main material of the Oath Stone is inside. I want to go in and investigate. Speaking of this, Lu Kuan recalled the Black Rock Island in the center of the spiritual demon valley, and the strange boulder in the depths of the island's cave that actively absorbed and devoured second-level demon beasts. Fong Yuan's expression changed, and she said, Pavilion Master, this is the Demon King's intent. Only the divine sense of a soul formation cultivator can resist it. Even if the material for the Oath Stone is bread, you can't take the risk. Lu Kuan waved his hand and said, Don't worry, I have my own ways to resist. Then, he thought of something and said, By the way, Fairy, I've studied your sect's spirit transformation art and found that when the disciples of the spirit transformation sect build their foundation, their bodies will be tempered by demonic spiritual energy. They will be slightly stronger than cultivators of the same level, right? Fong Yuan did not know why Lu Kuan mentioned this. She was slightly taken aback, then nodded and said, Yes, Pavilion Master. The reason why the physical bodies of demonic beasts are strong is because demonic spiritual energy has the effect of tempering the physical body. However, the spiritual art of dissolving cultivates mana that is connected to demonic spiritual energy. Only at the foundation establishment stage can the physical body be strengthened. I'm only slightly stronger than other immortal cultivators. My strength is at most 2,000 kilograms. A spiritual light flashed in Lu Kuan's hand, and a jade slip appeared. He tossed it over and said, In that case, you should be able to cultivate this introductory body refining technique. Pavilion Master, didn't you say that the Vajra incantation can only be cultivated by the age of 50? How, looking at the jade slip in her hand, Fang Yuan's light blue eyes couldn't help but widen. Huh! This isn't the Vajra incantation, but the demonic spirit incantation? Lu Kuan stretched out his hand, and the surrounding demonic spiritual energy obediently gathered, turning into a yellow mist that flowed around his fingertip. I once comprehended a demonic technique that uses demonic spiritual energy to temper the physical body. Combining it with the Vajra incantation, I created this demonic spirit incantation. The demonic spirit art is the same as the Vajra art. They are both entry-level body refining technique. It uses demonic chi instead of spiritual chi to refine the body. However, the demonic spirit art has certain requirements for the cultivator. Other than the foundation of the body, the cultivator must also have an affinity with demonic chi. Fang Yuan couldn't help but ask, Pavilion Master means that this demonic spirit incantation is for spirit transformation sect disciples above the foundation establishment stage to cultivate? Lu Kuan nodded, then sighed and said, as your sect's ancestor said, the spirit transformation incantation has a lot of inspiration for the bone transformation stage. Unfortunately, this technique is used in the wrong direction. Fang Yuan was somewhat puzzled. Just as she was about to say something, she was interrupted by Lu Kuan. All right, you first study this demonic spirit incantation. After I finish dealing with the matters of the body refining pavilion, I will head to the Chu country and capture a rank 8 demonic beast to help you enter the nascent soul stage. Hearing this, Fang Yuan revealed a joyful expression and hurriedly bowed. When she raised her head, Lu Kuan's figure had already disappeared into the yellow demonic spiritual energy in front of her. Next, she held the jade slip of the demonic spirit incantation and carefully studied it. Lu Kuan was like a human-shaped magic weapon, emitting a faint silver light as he shuttled through the yellow demonic spiritual energy. Even if he was hit by the black lightning condensed from the frenzied consciousness, his speed did not decrease. Relying on the unique ability of the hidden spiritual root, Lu Kuan was able to resist the frenzied consciousness when he was in the chi condensation stage. Naturally, it was not a problem for him now. Dozens of miles passed in the blink of an eye, and a lonely black rock island appeared in his field of vision. This was the forbidden area of the Spirit Demon Valley. Any demonic beast or immortal cultivator that approached would be attacked by the frenzied consciousness. Lu Kuan's figure flashed and landed outside the rock crevice in the middle of the island. A large number of frenzied consciousness gushed out from the black rock, and the surrounding demonic spiritual energy surged, wanting to enter his body, but was blocked by an invisible force. He slowly walked into the rock crevice that he had walked through before. The blood essence in his body throbbed more and more obviously. He had no intention of hiding it, and the rich power of chi and blood was emitted. The surrounding demonic spiritual energy seemed to have discovered something and gradually calmed down. The frenzied consciousness in the island also disappeared into the black rock as if it had never appeared. Lu Kuan stepped on the skeletons one by one, his palms caressing the incomparably hard black rock. A feeling of blood connection came over him. The black rock material here was very special. He had taken some of it before. Not only was it easy to melt, but it also had a blood connection with him. Therefore, the refining of the wishful meteoric iron staff and the purple heaven staff was very smooth. Xiao Jin also felt the same bloodline in the Demon Valley, but the consciousness of the Demon King here seems to hate the six-eared macaque very much. Could it be that they are enemies in the immortal cultivation world? When Lu Kuan was still a low-level cultivator, the bloodline of the long-armed ape monkey had not been fully activated. Now that his physical body had been tempered to the bone transformation stage, and he had integrated a drop of the blood essence of the long-armed giant ape in the Yuan's secret realm, and then with the help of old Demon Pang, he had achieved the acquired 5 elements chaotic demonic body. At this time, the power of his bloodline was not much different from the real long-armed giant ape. He could not feel the bloodline in the Spirit Demon Valley back then, but now it was very clear. This black island gave him the same feeling as Shao Jin. Lu Kuan's pace was very fast. He flashed through the craggy and narrow cracks. In the time it took to drink a cup of tea, he came to the deepest cave. A giant stone of 2 feet high and 1 foot in diameter appeared in front of him. The giant stone flashed with a yellow light very spiritually, beating rhythmically like a heart. It should have sensed Lu Kuan's arrival. The yellow halo on the stone became more and more dazzling. The frenzied consciousness lingered around Lu Kuan, as if it wanted to communicate with him. Lu Kuan still maintained his divine sense concealment. He looked at the piles of demon beast corpses around him. Some had already turned into bones, and some were still in a half-rotten state. He could not help but recall the scene he had seen before. A level 2 demon tiger had its soul and demon spiritual power devoured by this giant stone. There had never been a demon beast above level 2 in the Spirit Demon Valley, because demon beasts of this level would be attracted to this cave by the Demon King's consciousness and be devoured by the strange stone. The Spirit Demon Valley had existed for thousands of years. The number of demon beasts that had been devoured was simply astronomical. According to legend, the Spirit Stone Monkey was born from the strange stone of heaven and earth. Could it be that the Demon King had fallen and turned into this strange stone that contained the consciousness of life and was reborn? But its frenzied consciousness does not exist. How can I communicate with it? That's right, those demon beasts in the Yuan secret realm were also unconscious. They relied on the rich blood essence of the arm to awaken. Lu Kuan thought until here. He opened his mouth slightly, and a drop of silver blood essence slowly flew out. The strange stone's yellow light shone brightly, and directly enveloped the blood essence. Chapter 964. Lu Kuan's eyes flashed with a golden light. Even with his spiritual eye, he seemed to be unable to see through the yellow halo outside the strange stone. Almost in an instant, he lost the connection with this drop of blood essence. It's absorbed so quickly? Lu Kuan had amazing control over his own blood. Otherwise, he would not have been able to use the meridian strengthening technique. This situation of losing the connection with his blood essence had only happened when he was feeding serene. It meant that it had been refined and absorbed. He then frowned again. Strange, after absorbing my blood essence, the frenzy did not seem to have any changes. Does this strange stone not have a soul? Lu Kuan could see that the frenzy in the Demon Valley came from this island, and the core of the island was this strange stone. After sensing the bloodline of the long-armed ape monkey, the frenzy showed a strong desire to communicate. Obviously, there was a soul life. The demon ape in the demon beast garden can be awakened by the aura of the bloodline because there is very little true demonic intent in its body. However, the frenzy here is so strong. Is there not enough blood essence? Thinking of this, Lu Kuan's blood surged, and the rich power of qi and blood surged. A silver ball of blood essence, comparable to the size of a fist, shot out from his mouth. Under the effect of the void power, it went straight into the halo of the strange stone. After a few breaths of time, this mass of blood essence was refined and absorbed by the strange stone. Lu Kuan could clearly feel that the frenzy had calmed down a lot, and the yellow light on the strange stone was also flashing faster, as if it was thirsting for more. It works! He was refreshed and continued to mobilize the blood essence in his body. With the loss of blood essence, Lu Kuan's face was faintly pale. It was not until more than half of the blood essence in his body was consumed that the frenzy completely calmed down. The yellow light outside the strange stone had also completely dissipated, revealing a gray rock without any aura. It was as inconspicuous as an ordinary mountain rock. Lu Kuan felt the weakness in his body that he hadn't felt in a long time and heaved a sigh of relief. He carefully released a small part of his consciousness and found that the surrounding consciousness had become as sharp as the Sword Valley, without any offensive power. He withdrew his divine ability and released his divine sense towards the strange stone. Immediately after, a soul consciousness gushed out from the strange stone and converged with his divine sense. It was completely different from the previous frenzied intent. This was an incomparably agile soul consciousness. You're actually a human. Little fellow, why do you possess the bloodline of the long-armed ape monkey? It seems to be mixed with a brutal aura. Lu Kuan felt joy in his heart. The strange stone was indeed alive and could communicate with it. He respectfully asked, "May I ask if Senior is the spiritual stone monkey?" Upon hearing this soul consciousness became incomparably arrogant. "Ha ha ha, I didn't think that there would still be a human who remembers. That's right, this king is the strongest of the 3 great holy apes, the wise Demon King. Even Long-Armed Demon King, who is the strongest, is no match for this king in battle. This king can be said to be the strongest in the demon race." Lu Kuan had a strange expression on his face. Was this really the spiritual stone monkey? He sounded like a narcissist. The spiritual stone monkey's thoughts changed the topic. "That's right, you haven't told this king where the bloodline of the long-armed ape monkey came from. Don't try to deceive this king. This king has absorbed so much of your blood essence, and can completely sense if you're speaking the truth." Lu Kuan said. Junior had a chance encounter and merged with the blood essence of a long-armed demon ape from the higher realm. That's how I obtained the bloodline of the demon race. The spiritual stone monkey was stunned for a moment before saying, "There are only long-armed ape monkeys in the demon race. What is a long-armed demon ape? Could it be related to the demon world?" Lu Kuan sighed softly and didn't hide anything. Combining his bloodline memories with Fang Yuan's information, he narrated the origin and disappearance of the long-armed demon ape in detail. The spiritual stone monkey seemed to really have the means to determine whether Lu Kuan was speaking the truth or not. It fell silent for a moment and only sighed after a long while. In the end, the demon race still invaded. They were fighting across realms and were suppressed by the power of the realms. Even without the long-armed demon ape, the demon race wouldn't be a match for the human race and the demon race. Following that, it asked, "That's right, what's the situation of the demon race now? If this king didn't remember wrongly, this is the gathering place of the demon race. Why are there only immortal cultivators and no demon race?" When Lu Kuan heard this, he immediately thought of the murals of the Black Mountain apes and some records of the miraculous gate. He slowly said, "It's been 70 to 80,000 years since the war with the demon race. Much of the history can no longer be verified. However, according to this junior's understanding, after the war with the demon race, a war also broke out between the human race and the demon race. The demon race of the nearby countries were all chased overseas." The spiritual stone monkey's thoughts were instantly filled with rage. What? The human race actually dares to be ungrateful? If they didn't have the demon race's help, how could they be a match for the demon race? Lu Kuan's face paled. The other party's thoughts showed signs of turning into a frenzy again. He hurriedly squeezed out a lump of blood essence and sent it into the strange stone. I was almost suppressed again. After half a day, the spiritual stone monkey's thoughts calmed down. It said, "Kid, logically speaking, you belong to the half-demon race and your divine sense is equivalent to the mid-nascent soul stage. Why is the density of your blood essence no less than that of a demon king? The physical body of the half-demon race is similar to that of the human race. It's impossible for them to withstand this level of blood essence. Wait a minute, how is your physical body so strong? Kid, what kind of creature are you?" Lu Kuan calmly said, "This junior is a human. Relying on the bloodline of the long-armed demon ape and many fortuitous encounters, I created the body-tempering immortal cultivation lineage. I focused on cultivating the physical body and cultivated it to the level of a magic treasure. Naturally, my blood essence is strong. The spiritual stone monkey's thoughts fluctuated violently. It could feel that Lu Kuan was speaking the truth. It said in disbelief, "The weak physical body of the human race can actually become strong through cultivation?" Then, it seemed to have thought of something and asked anxiously, "The body-tempering immortal cultivation lineage that you created, are they all half-demons of the long-armed demon ape race? How many of them are at the same level as you?" Lu Kuan was stunned. Then, he smiled bitterly and said, "Senior, this junior has just established the body-refining pavilion. I'm already the person with the highest cultivation in the sect. The other disciples are at most equivalent to the core formation stage. They all have the bloodline of the human race. However, the Black Mountain Ape race has the bloodline of the long-armed demon ape." Black Mountain Ape? How many 8th grade demon cultivators do they have? Lu Kuan sighed and said, "In the Black Mountain Ape race that follows me, the clan leader with the highest cultivation is only at the 6th grade standard. Most of them are young apes below the 5th grade." The spiritual stone monkey let out a sigh. After a moment of silence, it said, "Little fellow, you are the first high-level immortal cultivator to come in all these years. You should have the ability to resist the Demon King's thoughts. You have the bloodline of the long-armed demon ape, and you know that I'm the spiritual stone monkey. I'm afraid it's not as simple as just scouting the valley." Lu Kuan cupped his hands and said seriously, "Senior, you are wise. This valley has been soaked in the Demon King's will for more than 2,000 years. It is very likely that there are materials that can give birth to a will. This junior wants to create the body-tempering, immortal cultivation lineage, and needs to refine the oath stone." The spiritual stone monkey said proudly, "At least you have some knowledge. This black gold mountain already has the embryonic form of a will. I'm afraid that even the top immortal sects of the human race don't have such a big oath stone as the main material." Lu Kuan heard this and couldn't help but swallow his saliva. From what the spiritual stone monkey said, this black rock island under his feet could be used as a material for the oath stone. It was said that although the top oath stone only required 3 bloodline oaths, its restrictive power was astonishing. Once violated, the oath stone's will could destroy one's soul. There was no need for others to cast a spell. The oath stone of the blood refining sect required a nascent soul cultivator to cast a spell before it could trigger the restriction. Moreover, it had a method to automatically remove the restriction. Old Devil Pang used his control over the oath stone to tamper with Qian Jingshan's restriction. If a sect's blood oath could be manipulated by others, there would be great hidden dangers. The current situation of the blood refining sect was like this. The spiritual stone monkey changed the topic and said, "The Black Gold Mountain is connected to my bloodline. The will inside is still under my control. Only a late soul formation stage expert can refine it into an oath stone." Lu Kuan was stunned. Not to mention a late soul formation stage expert, even if it was a mid-bone transformation stage expert. He only had a little clue. Didn't that mean that he had no fate with this top material? The spiritual stone monkey's tone changed and said, "However, you have the bloodline of the long-armed ape monkey. If you have the help of my soul, you can refine it into an oath stone. However, you will have to pay a great price." Lu Kuan's spirit rose and he said, "Senior, please speak." The spiritual stone monkey slowly said, "The spiritual stone monkey is a unique existence in the world. It has many powerful divine abilities. One of them is the Nirvana divine ability. Back then, I fought with my enemy and both of us fell. Our bodies turned into ordinary rocks and sank into the depths of the spirit veins to undergo nirvana." Its tone was filled with anger and sadness. "I didn't expect that after tens of thousands of years, even the demon race would be driven out of the sea. Among the demon race, the spiritual stone monkey is the absolute king. As long as the stone body awakens, there will be a large number of demon beasts of level 8 and above offering their blood essence. After absorbing enough blood essence, I can break through the stone and be reborn. Lu Kuan was dumbfounded. What kind of heaven-defying divine ability was this? Didn't this mean that as long as the nirvana divine ability was successful, the spiritual stone monkey would never die? The spiritual stone monkey seemed to be able to see through Lu Kuan's thought. He slowly said, "This type of innate technique also has a great flaw. If the enemy finds the body of the mountain rock after it died and destroys it, this king will also die completely. There's another flaw. It requires a large number of high-level demon beasts to offer their blood essence as a sacrifice. Only then can I truly break through the stone and be reborn. If the sacrifice is made in time, after I break through the stone, my cultivation level will be at level 8. The spiritual stone monkey sighed and said, "After I awakened, there was no demon blood essence to absorb. The huge demonic aura emitted by the stone body attracted a large number of immortal cultivators. In order to protect the stone body, I had no choice but to release the Demon King's consciousness and form this spiritual demon valley. Immortal cultivators below the midstage of soul formation are unable to enter." The spiritual stone monkey felt lucky and said, "After I awakened, I sensed that there were changes in the laws of heaven and earth. The Demon King's realm was suppressed. It's definitely the same for the human race's soul formation cultivators. These years, only late-stage nascent soul cultivators have tried to explore this place. The suppression of the laws of heaven and earth, in addition to the Demon King mystic realm continuously depleting my spirit and consciousness. My spirit can only rely on devouring low-level demonic beasts to barely sustain itself. But without a physical body, my spirit became increasingly weak. It was suppressed by the Demon King's consciousness and fell into a deep sleep. If it wasn't for your blood essence, which is of the same origin as the Demon King's, I'm afraid I would continue to sleep until my spirit dissipates." Lu Kuan probed, "Senior, do you want me to bring you to the outer seas and let the demon race sacrifice their blood essence?" The spiritual stone monkey said awkwardly, "Since the demon race has migrated to the outer seas, they must be ruled by the flood dragons. I have some conflicts with them." Speaking up to here, it suddenly asked, "Little guy, in your body refining pavilion, other people's blood essence is also as strong as yours, right?" Lu Kuan compared it with Gui Ling Er's blood essence. He thought for a while and said, "A body cultivator in the bone transformation stage is equivalent to a level 8 demon cultivator. But because they specialize in cultivating their bodies, even disciples with ordinary bloodlines have stronger blood essence than demonic beasts of the same level. Senior, do you want to let a body cultivator sacrifice their blood essence?" The spiritual stone monkey said, "That's right. My spirit has survived until now, and I can't drag it on any longer. I have to enter the rebirth stage as soon as possible. Although you have the body of a human, the long-armed ape-monkey bloodline in your body is very strong. You can form a bloodline contract with me and help me to be reborn." Lu Kuan said calmly, "Senior, may I ask, what is the form of blood essence sacrifice? Will it harm my cultivation?" The spiritual stone monkey said, "Don't worry, just like what you did just now. You just need to release more than half of your blood essence, but it must be at least the blood essence of a level 8 demon cultivator or above." Lu Kuan frowned and said, "The blood essence I just consumed can be recovered after 1 year of cultivation. What if I sacrifice myself?" The spiritual stone monkey said, "Everyone's blood essence has its own mark. Just one type can't help me be reborn. I need at least 100 types. But senior, no matter how powerful the body refining pavilion is, hundreds of bone transformation stage cultivators." The spiritual stone monkey said, "Now that the world has changed, I have to abandon my previous cultivation and enter the rebirth stage. My spirit can barely last for 2,000 years. As long as my embryo absorbs more than 100 types of powerful blood essence, I will be able to break through the stone and be reborn. However, after I am born, my cultivation will drop to the lowest level, not even comparable to a level 1 demon beast. During this period, I will be connected to the Black Gold Mountain's will and become the body refining pavilion's oath stone. After I am born, I will be equivalent to a member of the body refining pavilion. If you can produce 100 nascent soul stage cultivators, they will definitely be able to protect me. I only need 500 years to recover my cultivation as a demon king. As long as you promise the body refining pavilion that in the next 2,000 years, you will provide the blood essence of 100 bone transformation stage cultivators to protect me and help me recover my cultivation. I will help you refine this Black Gold Mountain into an oath stone. Lu Kuan's mind spun quickly. After a while, he said solemnly, after Senior is reborn, because of the oath stone, you will also be a disciple of the body refining pavilion. In the future, you will definitely be able to protect the pavilion. I have no reason to refuse. However, the world is unpredictable. I can only do my best to develop the body refining pavilion and satisfy Senior's request. The spiritual stone monkey sighed and said, I am also looking for a chance to live. All right, let's form the bloodline contract. Next, I will help you refine the oath stone. Lu Kuan was stunned and said, refine it here? The spiritual stone monkey said proudly, I am born with the 5 elements body. I am more proficient in all kinds of spells than humans. The oath stone is just a divine sense engraving technique. Kid, give me some more blood essence. I will teach you the demon race's bloodline contract. Yes, Senior. Chapter 965. Outside the spiritual demon valley, Fairy Fong Yuan sat cross-legged on a rock with a white fox beside her. This spirit fox had a small figure and azure blue eyes. It seemed to be extremely intelligent. Its body was emitting dense demonic spiritual energy. It was a peak rank 7 demonic beast. The little fox sat beside Fong Yuan, its furry tail constantly swaying, helping Fong Yuan attract the surrounding demonic spiritual energy. Its small eyes stared at the spiritual demon valley without blinking. Fong Yuan, who was surrounded by demonic spiritual energy, had a painful expression on her face. Her muscles were trembling in a unique way, as if there were countless little snakes slithering under her skin. Only a small portion of the dense demonic spiritual energy gathered by the little fox entered Fong Yuan's skin. Large amounts of sweat seeped out from her pores and soaked her robe. After an unknown amount of time, Fong Yuan slowly opened her eyes. She looked at her wet body and a dense spiritual light flashed. She changed into a pale white dress. She recalled the cultivation just now and thought, no wonder the pavilion master said that the foundation establishment disciples of the sect can cultivate this demonic spirit art. Although the foundation establishment cultivation technique doesn't increase the strength of the body by much, the demonic spiritual energy cleanses the body and maintains the vitality of the flesh. That's why the muscles can be so finely controlled. According to the pavilion master's understanding, once a human reaches 50 years old, their flesh will lose its vitality. If the disciples of the Spirit Transformation sect break through to the Foundation establishment realm after 50 years old, I'm afraid that they won't be able to cultivate the demonic spirit art. Fong Yuan's eyes flashed with understanding. She relied on the help of the phantom spirit fox and the dense demonic spiritual energy here to successfully guide the demonic spiritual energy into her body and begin the initial refinement of her muscles. The first level of the demonic spirit art was to use the demonic spiritual energy to refine the body. Next, as long as the muscles were converted into spiritual energy, she would be able to enter the second level. Fong Yuan revealed a look of admiration. The pavilion master is indeed worthy of being the peak figure who founded the body refining sect. He actually combined the spirit transformation art and the body refining art into one. The demonic spirit art is the same as the spirit transformation art. It also requires the help of a demonic spiritual beast. On one hand, with the help of demonic beasts, it would be easier to absorb demonic aura. On the other hand, the transformation of muscles and mana would require the help of demonic spiritual energy from demonic beasts. The Pavilion Master possesses the bloodline of the long-armed demon ape, which is even more powerful than the Ancestor's black tortoise bloodline. I'm afraid it's because of this that he has such a deep understanding of our sex spirit transformation art. I wonder if the Pavilion Master's body tempering art is. What's going on? At this moment, the ground suddenly shook violently. The spiritual demon valley in front of him was like a volcanic eruption, trembling endlessly. A large number of rocks rolled down from the mountain peak, and the demonic chi restriction that shrouded the valley began to retreat inwards. Fang Yuan said in disbelief, "The Monster King mystic realm is dissipating? Phantom, what happened to you?" The little fox crouched on the ground, its petite body trembling, and its tail tucked under its body. Fang Yuan's mind was connected, and she felt an extremely rich royal bloodline rising in the Demon Valley. She had an impulse to prostrate herself in worship. Fang Yuan shook her head and carefully extended her divine sense forward. She found that the low-level demonic beasts in the Demon Valley were also crouching towards the center of the valley, just like her phantom fox. Although her divine sense could only extend for 20 to 30 miles, she could feel that the demonic aura and the monster king's will in the Demon Valley were all gathered at the center of the Demon Valley. The pressure that came from there made her divine sense tremble. This bloodline aura, could it be the spiritual stone monkey? What did the Pavilion Master do? Just like this, after a full hour, the ground stopped shaking, and the terrifying pressure in the depths of the Demon Valley dissipated. The reverence in the phantom fox's eyes disappeared, and it was replaced with a blank look. The demonic beasts in the valley were also stunned. But soon, these low-level demonic beasts became extremely frightened and ran wildly towards the only exit of the valley. The ground shook again, and dust billowed. At this moment, Fang Yuan saw from afar that there was a huge black rock in the middle of the valley rising into the air and flying towards them. It was more than 30 meters tall, like a small mountain, and it exuded an inexplicable pressure. At the bottom of the black mountain, there was a relatively small figure with both hands above his head, as if he was using his physical strength to lift the heavy mountain. This person stepped on the void, and ripples appeared in the air as he ran in the void at an extremely fast speed. Fang Yuan felt the unique restrictive aura on the black mountain. Her mouth was wide open and she was in a daze. The aura of this black mountain is exactly the same as the Oath Stone. Just as Fang Yuan was in a daze, Lu Kuan's voice came from afar. "Fairy Fang Yuan, you are proficient in illusions. Help me hide. We will return to the Yunling Mountains." Fang Yuan suppressed the doubts in her heart. She stretched out her hand, and the phantom fox jumped onto her shoulder. The two of them flew in the direction of the Black Mountain. At the same time, a mysterious wave was brewing in her body. As the two of them met, the huge Black Mountain disappeared in the air, leaving behind the spiritual Demon Valley, which had dissipated its demonic aura, and the herd of demonic beasts that were desperately trying to escape. At the eastern border of Lu Prefecture, there was a Hengduan mountain range that separated Wei Country and Jin Country. Somewhere in the Hengduan mountain range, there were many figures flashing. In addition to the immortal cultivators who were riding on flying artifacts, there were also hundreds of mortal martial artists dressed in martial artist costumes. With the help of low-level spells, the mortal martial artists were excavating the mountain peak and building the mountain rock. From the outline, it could be seen that they were building a huge city. On a mountain not far away, a man and a woman stood. The middle-aged man's aura was surging, and he had a mid-stage foundation establishment aura. The other woman wore a long white dress and had a cultivation level of early-stage foundation establishment. The woman in white repeatedly stared at the group of mortal martial artists and exclaimed, If I didn't see it with my own eyes, I wouldn't have imagined that mortals could also use the artifacts of us immortal cultivators. She turned to look at the middle-aged man and asked, Big Brother Sue, you've been in contact with the seniors of the Body Refining Pavilion. What kind of sect are they? The middle-aged man said with an inexplicable expression, from the name, the Body Refining Pavilion seems to be a body refining immortal cultivation sect. My knowledge is too shallow, and I've never heard of a cultivation technique that specializes in cultivating the body in the immortal cultivation world. He looked at the mortal martial artists again, and shock flashed in his eyes. From these martial artists, you can see the horror of the Body Refining Pavilion. Since ancient times, immortal cultivators have been completely separated from mortals by their spiritual root. No matter how strong a martial artist is, they are no match for immortal cultivators. Moreover, as the cultivation level of immortal cultivators increases, they break through the shackles of lifespan. The difference between the two is like heaven and earth. But look at these martial artists. Although they are using spiritual stones to power their magical weapons, each and every one of them is very agile. Their physical strength is even more extraordinary. It is obvious that their physical bodies are very strong. Their combat ability is probably not lower than the middle stage of the Qi refining realm. According to the seniors of the Body Refining Pavilion, these mortal martial artists are all disciples of the Body Refining Pavilion. The young woman in white frowned. It can't be. Even if martial artists have the strength of the Qi refinement realm, they are still mortals. Their lifespan and strength are limited. For immortal cultivation sects, the foundation establishment realm is the core strength. The middle-aged man shook his head and said slowly, Fourth sister, you may not know, but the Body Refining Pavilion wants us, the itinerant cultivators of Mount Wupan, to help build this huge city. It's called the Martial Artists' Holy City. Martial Artists' Holy City? The middle-aged man looked at the Jin nation on the other side of the Hengduan Mountains. The Body Refining Pavilion also gave us a second mission, which is to go to the Jin nation and spread the name of the Martial Artists' Holy City. Let us immortal cultivators tell the martial artists of the Jin nation that the Martial Artists' Holy City can help them improve and reach the strength of immortal cultivators. It can even break through the shackles of lifespan. The young woman in white heard the first half of the sentence, but when she heard the last part, she stuttered. Mortals break through the shackles of lifespan? Big brother, I didn't hear wrongly, right? The middle-aged man said, The Jin nation is a barren land. Its spirit qi is extremely thin, and the strength of the immortal cultivators is incomparably weak. At most, there are people in the qi refinement realm. In comparison, the secular world is more prosperous, and there are more mortal martial artists. Fear flashed in his eyes. Fourth sister, the Body Refining Pavilion wants us to spread the news like this. It's obvious that this terrifying sect that destroyed the miraculous gate has the means to let mortals cultivate. With the number of martial artists in the Jin nation, even if the probability of breaking through the foundation establishment realm is low, it's still a terrifying number. The young woman in white thought of the countless martial artists in the Jin nation who had all become immortal cultivators, and her delicate body trembled. The middle-aged man let out a breath of turbid air and said slowly, Let's go down and help. The Body Refining Pavilion's grand opening ceremony is in a year. If we complete the mission well, the itinerant cultivators of Mount Wupan might have a chance to join the Body Refining Pavilion. Yes, big brother. Chapter 966. In the depths of the Yunling Mountains, the forbidden formations that used to be the miraculous gate covered the Devil's Abyss, the mountain gate and the cave abode. Now there were some changes to the restrictions. In the center of the three forbidden formations there was a small valley. From each of the forbidden formations, a restrictive force extended and formed a light screen that covered the small valley. The small valley was filled with a large amount of demonic aura. A small black mountain that was about 30 meters tall sat in the middle of the valley. Its surface was surrounded by a terrifying aura of madness. However, this powerful consciousness was floating on the surface of the small mountain and did not go too far away. At the top of the small mountain sat a burly middle-aged man. It was the owner of the body refining pavilion, Lu Kuan. Lu Kuan's body trembled slightly. A large amount of demonic aura and spiritual energy from the Yunling Mountains surged into his body. His body was surrounded by a powerful aura of blood. Layers of faint silver blood mist spread out from his body. The small mountain seemed to be full of spirituality. The complex runes on the surface of the black rock lit up one by one and absorbed the blood mist. Then, the aura of madness entered the small mountain along with the blood mist. Soon, the aura of madness surged out again, bringing with it a layer of blood mist with a different aura. Lu Kuan closed his eyes. He could feel the existence of the blood mist. He opened his mouth and sucked it in. Then, the blood in his body boiled. He continued to use the body refining technique. Half a day later, the blood in his body gradually calmed down. Then, Lu Kuan continued to do the same thing. He absorbed the demonic aura and spiritual energy of the Yunling Mountains to recover his demonic energy. He used his bone marrow to refine his blood. The blood mist surged and intersected with the small black mountain repeatedly. In this way, day after day, the complex runes on the surface of the small black mountain gradually turned silver. The demonic aura in the valley disappeared without a trace. It was all absorbed by the small black mountain. The aura of madness that appeared from time to time also completely calmed down. The small black mountain exuded a majestic aura of blood. Time continued to pass. Suddenly, one day, the small black mountain and Lu Kuan's blood and qi seemed to resonate with each other. The power of the two's blood and qi soared into the sky at the same time. The surrounding world energy was attracted by an invisible force and crazily gathered. Lu Kuan stood up, and the muscles on his arms expanded rapidly. They intertwined and coiled up like pythons. The Connect Arms divine art was automatically activated. The surrounding spirit qi surged endlessly, forming an incomparably sturdy giant ape figure behind him. It also had ferocious and thick arms, exuding an extremely ferocious aura. Not long after the long-armed ape monkey's silhouette appeared, another extremely handsome ape appeared beside it. This ape was thin and small, but its expression was incomparably arrogant. At this moment, Lu Kuan opened his eyes. His eyes were covered by an extremely bright golden light. The surrounding skin and eyelids had turned fiery red, as if they were being burned by the scorching heat. Lu Kuan looked up to the sky and let out a painful roar. His thick arms tightly clasped the black rock under him, and the golden light in his eyes shone even more brightly. Suddenly, a wave of madness gushed out from the depths of the small black mountain. It followed the rock and entered Lu Kuan's arm. At the same time, the two ape silhouettes behind him also entered his body. The golden light in Lu Kuan's eyes seemed to have reached a critical point. Suddenly, two fiery golden lights shot out at an astonishing speed. In the blink of an eye, they arrived at the restriction light screen of the valley. These two strange golden lights did not seem to be ordinary magic. In front of them, the light screen of the restriction light screen was like nothing. They were pierced through and disappeared into the distant sky. After shooting out these two golden lights, Lu Kuan sat down with a plop. His face was pale, and his divine sense was severely exhausted. His eyes were bloodshot, and his eyelids were charred black. After a long while, Lu Kuan finally regained his senses. He rubbed his sore eyes and looked at the place where the golden light had disappeared. He muttered, "The Tong by bloodline has indeed become pure." Senior's prediction was right. This mountain of vows contains some essence blood of the spiritual stone monkey. After the blood sacrifice, the essence blood of the spiritual stone monkey will be refined and absorbed by me. This will strengthen my long-arm ape monkey bloodline. I didn't expect that after the bloodline was upgraded again, the golden eye would be strengthened so much that it could activate an offensive magic. Lu Kuan could not help but recall the scene in his memory. When the long-arm ape monkey was fighting with the unknown Thunderbird, the golden eye had this kind of golden light attack. He rubbed his head. I didn't use up any demonic energy, but I used up most of my divine sense. If I didn't sense it wrongly, it also attracted the energy of heaven and earth. It is very likely a special magic that targets the soul. Lu Kuan sighed. If it weren't for the Demon King's will in the Oath Stone, I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to use it. The sky-piercing roar needs the true demonic intent, and the Golden Eye's offensive magic relies on the frenzied intent to be successfully used. I'm afraid I will have to reach the soul formation stage before I can use these two magic. During the time when Lu Kuan and the spiritual stone monkey were refining the Mountain of Vows, he learned some of the mysteries of the soul formation stage. He knew that this kind of powerful will that could exist outside was a magic that only cultivators above the soul formation stage could have. Generally speaking, the key for a core formation stage cultivator to enter the nascent soul stage was the comprehension of the power of the nascent soul. Even Lu Kuan had to cultivate the power of the physical body that was equivalent to the power of the nascent soul to break through to the bone transformation stage. The soul formation stage was different from the nascent soul stage. The key to this stage was not spiritual power, but to comprehend the unique will that corresponded to one's own, complete the transformation of the soul, and combine the unique will with the energy in the body to control the energy of heaven and earth. Lu Kuan shook his head. The several small realms of the bone transformation stage had not been perfected yet. It was still too far away to reach the soul formation stage. After adjusting his breath in place for a few days, Lu Kuan's spirit was much better. The Golden Eye's offensive magic was not something he could use right now. Not to mention that it consumed a lot of his will, the spiritual sense of a middle nascent soul stage was too weak. The consumption of spiritual sense was different from the physical body. It took time to recover. If it was overdrawn often, it was likely to hurt the soul. Lu Kuan exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. Looking at the black mountain that exuded a strong aura of blood and qi, the corners of his mouth revealed a smile. This black mountain was transformed from the weapon of the predecessor. It is connected to the bloodline, and with the influence of the Demon King's will for so many years, the will that was bred is incomparably powerful. Although I have not reached the soul formation stage, I relied on the bloodline of the long-armed demon ape and barely used the blood sacrifice method to refine this oath stone. No, it should be called the Mountain of Vows. Next, as long as I use the simplest blood oath method, the disciples will be able to complete the blood oath of the sect to prevent internal strife and the leakage of the cultivation method. Then his figure flashed and came to a corner behind the Mountain of Vows. There was a 7-feet-tall cave entrance here. The cave was filled with yellow demonic qi and a large amount of frenzied will. Lu Kuan whispered, "Senior, rest in peace." With the will of the late Demon King realm and such a huge amount of materials, the restriction of the Mountain of Vows cannot be broken even by the Black Fiend Demon King's secret technique. With the Mountain of Vows, the body refining pavilion will have no worries. It will develop with all its strength and help the predecessor complete the Nirvana rebirth technique as soon as possible. Chapter 967. Originally, the miraculous gate was located on a ring-shaped mountain range. Now, the buildings inside had been rebuilt. On the side of the tallest mountain, there were 3 large words carved in flamboyant calligraphy: Body Refining Pavilion. In a secret room under the Body Refining Pavilion, 3 core formation stage cultivators were surrounding a huge array with a diameter of 30 feet. Their divine sense surged as they formed hand seals to adjust the array. They were the Spirit Transformation sect and the Heavenly Sword sect's most proficient cultivators in the art of arrays. Judging from the spatial fluctuations in the air, this seemed to be a teleportation array. Zhao Qingtian and Qin Yushu stood not far away with a floating array plate in front of them. The array plate emitted specks of spiritual light, forming the shape of the array. Qin Yushu looked at the array and then at the edge of the array. There were 5 spirit stones emitting dense spiritual energy. She said with a pained expression, he said, Qingtian, this kind of long-distance teleportation array empties all our spatial spirit crystals. Why do we need high-grade spirit stones? Even if it's a long-distance teleportation array, mid-grade spirit stones are enough. Zhao Qingtian chuckled and said, Senior Marshal Brother Qin, you've been busy in the Yeyang mountain range for the past year. I'm afraid you don't know that the other end of this teleportation array is the Qi State's western province. There's also a demonic spirit vein there. Demonic Qi and spiritual energy are mixed together. We must use high-grade spirit stones to adjust the location. When the 2 ends of the teleportation array are successfully connected, we can exchange them for mid-grade spirit stones. Qin Yushu was stunned and said, The demonic spirit vein in the Qi State's western province? The other end of the teleportation array is the sacred poison sect? Zhao Qingtian nodded and looked at the teleportation array with eyes full of expectation. That's right. The sacred poison sect has been completely controlled by the body refining pavilion. Their abundant poisonous resources can provide a large amount of poisons to the body refining pavilion. These various poisons are pills to increase the cultivation of body cultivators below the bone treasure stage. They can greatly increase the speed of body refinement. Furthermore, the Cloud Ridge mountain range has the Devil Abyss, a treasured land of the demonic path. It is more suitable for the growth of some poisonous herbs. With this teleportation formation, not only will we be able to replenish the poison in a timely manner, it will also be convenient for us to transplant the sacred poison sect's poisonous herbs. When we built this teleportation formation, we left a third of the mountain range above it empty. We want to turn this place into a poison refinement area for the body refining pavilion, a medicine refinement room for body cultivators. With it, body cultivators will be able to catch up to or even surpass traditional cultivators. Zhao Qingtian continued. The sects in the Chu country are fighting against the overseas demon beasts. They seem to be evenly matched, but according to what Fairy Fong Yuan said, the overseas demon beasts are extremely powerful. It is only a matter of time before the immortal cultivators of the Chu country are defeated. Let's not talk about whether the overseas demon beasts will attack the Wei country. In order to find a place to survive, the immortal cultivators of the Chu country will also come into conflict with us. The body refining pavilion is running out of time. Qin Yushu's expression turned serious. Although the pavilion master was an expert at the level of a grand cultivator, the Chu country also had grand cultivators. Moreover, the scale of the immortal cultivators' sects was larger than the Wei country. If there was really a conflict, the body refining pavilion's current strength was not enough. Just as Qin Yushu was lost in thought, the formation plate in front of them shone brightly, outlining the outline of a complete formation array. Zhao Qingtian said excitedly, The formation array has been adjusted. Senior Brother Zhu is also ready. Senior Brother Meng, please activate the formation array. Beside the teleportation formation, a white-haired old man from the Sky Sword Pavilion nodded gently. His hand flashed with a spirit seal, and the high-grade spirit stones around the formation array surged with rich spirit qi, emitting a dazzling light. After a few breaths, the light gradually dissipated, and 6 figures appeared in the teleportation formation. The leader was Zhu Siming from the Treasure Pavilion. He held a palm-sized token in his hand, which activated a layer of white shield. As for the other 5 people, one of them was Lu Kuan's servant, the current master of the sacred poison sect, Duan. The others were core formation poison cultivators of the sacred poison sect. Even with the protection of the transference token, there was a strong sense of weightlessness during such a long-distance teleportation. The few of them were dizzy. Zhu Siming's divine sense cultivation was the highest. He was the first to open his eyes and nodded to the people around him. The people of the sacred poison sect also woke up. Including Duan, it was their first time here. They all had different expressions when they felt the devil chi around them that was much denser than the sacred poison sect. Zhao Qingtian cupped his hands towards the people in charge of maintaining the formation array and said, "Senior brothers, thank you for your hard work. There are still 3 days before the opening ceremony. In order to prevent any trouble, I will have to trouble you to check the various formations of the Cloud Ridge mountain range." The 3 core formation cultivators who were proficient in formations nodded and left the secret room with Qin Yushu and Zhu Siming, leaving Zhao Qingtian and the poison cultivators of the sacred poison sect behind. Zhao Qingtian looked at Duan, who was looking around, and smiled. "Long time no see. Little Du, your cultivation has improved a lot. How many poisons have you fused with?" Duan cupped his hands and said, "Senior brother Zhao's eyes are as bright as torches. This little brother's luck is not bad. I have refined another 12 poisons." Zhao Qingtian clicked his tongue and said, "Your talent in refining poisons is indeed impressive. With this, you will be able to enter the middle core formation stage after refining another 8 poisons. Let's have a good chat later." After chatting with Duan for a while, Zhao Qingtian looked at the other 4 poison cultivators and said slowly, "Fellow Taoists, you have been poisoned by the poison restriction. You have to be careful even when you cultivate. I'm sure you have some complaints in your hearts." No, with this poison restriction, our poison refining techniques have improved a little. How could we have any complaints? Yes, Brother Zhao is worrying too much." The 4 of them had a look of fear in their eyes. They already knew that behind Duan was a powerful sect with a great cultivator. Even if they weren't poisoned, they wouldn't dare to act rashly. When Zhao Qingtian heard this nonsense, the corner of his mouth twitched and he said, "You don't have to be afraid. The sacred poison sect will be merged into the body refining pavilion. From now on, we will be fellow disciples. Come with me to pay your respects to the pavilion master. After you make a blood oath under the oath stone, not only will Duan remove the poison from your bodies, he will also impart his poison refining inheritance to you. Your cultivation will have the opportunity to advance further." When the 4 poison cultivators heard this, they couldn't help but be overjoyed. In fact, Zhao Qingtian was right. 4 poison cultivators like them, it was impossible for them to cultivate after being poisoned by an unfamiliar poison restriction. So what if the sacred poison sect was merged into another sect? It was actually a good thing for them. Due to the loss of their inheritance, the sacred poison sect's strength was getting weaker and weaker. It would be difficult for them to survive in the chaotic West continent. With the oath stone binding them, their wariness towards each other was greatly reduced. Coupled with Duan's poison refining inheritance and the support of this sect, it wasn't impossible for them to reach the nascent soul stage. Zhao Qingtian observed their expressions and a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. The reason why his master did this was because of the sacred poison sect's ability to refine poison. Although the poisons currently refined could only assist body cultivators below the bone treasure stage, the 3 great holy poisons were different. The Xianming decay poison and poison demon powder that Lu Kuan had come into contact with would cause damage to the bones of those in the bone treasure stage. The 3 great holy poisons were refined by the former nascent soul stage poison cultivators of the sacred poison sect according to their respective poison power. If one of the people in front of him entered the nascent soul stage, then the poison that could accelerate the cultivation of the bone treasure stage could also be refined. The various poisonous herbs in the immortal cultivation world were more abundant than other herbs due to their limited uses. The combination of the sacred poison sect and body cultivators could truly make use of this unorthodox resource. Chapter 968. On this day, various restrictions flickered in the depths of the Yunling Mountains. Thousands of cultivators gathered at the entrance of the body refining pavilion. These people had different levels of cultivation. Most of them were at the qi refinement stage, and there were only about 300 of them at the foundation establishment stage. They lined up according to their level of cultivation, and at the end, there were nearly 200 mortal martial artists. A tall man stood at the end of the foundation establishment stage line. The dermic powers in his body were fluctuating, as if he had just broken through to the foundation establishment stage. He looked around curiously. Like the qi refinement stage cultivators behind him, he looked as if he had never seen the world before. Shouldn't the opening ceremony be a ceremony where the seniors with profound cultivation cast spells and worship heaven and earth, and then all the disciples recite prayers? But the body refining pavilion is so strange. Not only is the opening ceremony so quiet, but they are also lining up to enter this small valley. What mysterious things are inside? This man was called Gao Yong, and he was a collateral disciple of the Gao family in Zhongzhou. The Gao family was a family with a core formation stage cultivator, and was one of the top families in the entire Wei kingdom. No matter what, I, Gao Yong, am considered to have entered a major cultivation sect. Otherwise, with my lousy 5 elemental spirit roots, even if I entered the foundation establishment stage, no one would even look at me. Gao Yong's talent was extremely poor. Since he was 7 years old, he had been cultivating day and night. At the age of 37, he was still stuck at the 9th level of qi refinement, unable to enter the later stages of qi refinement. Who knew that a year ago, Gao Yong got lucky and encountered a severely injured Green Alliance disciple in Zhongzhou. After finishing him off with a small fireball technique, he obtained 2 foundation establishment pills. In his excitement, Gao Yong found a random mountain and swallowed the 2 foundation establishment pills. As a result, he entered the foundation establishment stage in a daze. He had 5 elemental spirit roots, the worst kind of cultivation. How could he succeed in the foundation establishment stage? After Gao Yong returned to his family, everyone was incredulous. They did not believe that he relied on luck, and thought that he must have some secret treasure that aided his cultivation. Gao Yong could not explain himself. After all, even he himself did not believe that he could enter the foundation establishment stage. Just as the Gao family was about to torture him, the body refining pavilion's recruitment order arrived. If not for the body refining pavilion, I would have been tortured to death. Thinking of this, Gao Yong rejoiced. The body refining pavilion's enlistment order was extremely domineering. All the immortal cultivation clans and itinerant cultivators in the Wei nation had to join the body refining pavilion. If they resisted, they would be annihilated. The patriarch of the Gao clan, who had the highest cultivation level, was only in the early stage of the core formation realm. How could he fight against such a powerful being? He could only put Gao Yong's matter aside. Once the Gao family has settled down in the body refining pavilion, they'll definitely continue to cause trouble for me. I can't trust my family members, so I can only rely on the body refining pavilion. Even if the body refining pavilion has some suspicions about me, those seniors will definitely be able to tell if I'm lying. As the group moved forward, it was Gao Yong's turn. Under the guidance of a core formation stage senior, he walked into the restriction light screen of the small valley. Inside, there was only a small black mountain that was about 30 meters tall and a fat core formation cultivator. Sizing up Gao Yong, the fat man looked at the jade slip in his hand and said with a strange tone, 37 years old, 5 elemental spirit roots, Early Stage Foundation Establishment. You're Gao Yong? Gao Yong said nervously, That's me. The fat man nodded and said, Next, I'll teach you a spell. Just do as I say. Yes, senior. Hearing the spell, Gao Yong suddenly understood. So it's the blood oath spell. Our Gao clan also has a blood oath. Will it conflict with the blood oath? What is this mountain in front of me? Do I have to go through it to make the blood oath? Forget it, I'll just listen to senior. The mana in Gao Yong's body surged as he forced a drop of essence blood to float forward. As he formed the spell, he recited, I, Gao Yong, officially join the body refining pavilion. I'll make 3 blood oaths. 1. Never betray the body refining pavilion. 2. Never spread the techniques of the body refining pavilion to outsiders. 3. Never kill a fellow disciple. If I violate any of these, my soul will be destroyed. As the spell was cast, the essence blood was absorbed by the small black mountain. Then, a mysterious restrictive force acted on his soul. Seeing that Gao Yong had successfully completed the spell, the fat man couldn't help but exclaim, You're a disciple of the Gao clan of the Middle Continent? Yes, senior. The fat man's expression was a bit strange. Spirit light flashed in his hand, and a palm-sized triangular token appeared. Then, with a flash of a spell, a red dot surged out of the small black mountain and disappeared into it. Finally, he threw the token over. Gao Yong caught the token and looked at it. The words, Body Refining Pavilion, were engraved on it. Below it was an exquisite picture of a furnace. On the back of the token was his name. Forget the Gao clan forever. From now on, you're a disciple of the Treasure Pavilion, a subordinate sect of the Body Refining Pavilion. Go out from the west. Someone will pick you up. Gao Yong respectfully bowed and walked in the direction the fat man pointed. This is the opening ceremony of the Body Refining Pavilion? Just a blood oath and it's over? Gao Yong was still a bit confused. He quickly walked out of the light curtain and found that the Foundation establishment cultivators behind the valley were divided into 2 groups. Those with long swords on their backs were obviously sword cultivators from the Heavenly Sword sect. They stood together and whispered to each other. Everyone looked excited. The second group was made up of cultivator clans and rogue cultivators who had been recruited by the Body Refining Pavilion. These people looked uneasy, as if they had been frightened. A white-haired old man in the air saw Gao Yong come out and pointed to the second group. Gao Yong walked over, but not long after he entered the group. He was horrified to find that the Gao clan members who had entered the valley first had all disappeared. I remember that there were Yao clan disciples in front. How come they're gone? Were they killed by the seniors in the valley? Why didn't they attack me? Just as Gao Yong was puzzled, a rogue cultivator suddenly opened his mouth and said to a middle-aged man in the middle stage of Foundation establishment, Fellow Taoist Su, you were the first to join the Body Refining Pavilion. Now, all the Foundation establishment cultivators have passed through the valley. Can you explain our doubts? This middle-aged man was the former leader of the rogue cultivators of 5 Plate Mountain, Su Rue. Su Rue smiled and said, Now that everyone is a disciple of the Treasure Pavilion, there's no need to be polite. I'm sure some of you can guess that the thing in the valley is the Oath Stone. Seeing that many people nodded, Su Rue continued, The one in our Body Refining Pavilion should be called the Oath Mountain. It was refined by the Pavilion Master with a great ability. Its effect is far stronger than the Oath Stone. Ordinary bloodline oaths and blood oaths will only activate the restriction after being violated. But our Body Refining Pavilion is different. As long as you subconsciously have thoughts of violating the blood oath, the Oath Mountain will judge and directly activate the restriction. Su Rue slowly said, Even 4 core formation cultivators died because of the blood oath. Looking at the shocked faces of the crowd, Su Rue chuckled and said, Everyone has passed the Oath Mountain's judgment. There's no need to panic. In my opinion, this is a good thing. You should know that in the past, we had to guard against our closest friends. Now it's much easier. Hearing Su Rui's words, everyone understood and their expressions relaxed. Gao Yong's heart was even more relieved. He took the initiative to walk to Su Rui's side and began to chat. He learned a lot of information. For example, the furnace on the sex token was the symbol of the treasure pavilion. The sword cultivators not far away had a long sword on their token, which represented the Sky Sword Pavilion. The once powerful sword cultivator sect of the Wei Kingdom had actually become a subordinate sect of the Body Refining Pavilion. Gao Yong felt that the Body Refining Pavilion was unfathomable. After a while, the Qi refinement cultivators passed through the valley one after another. Different from the Foundation establishment cultivators, they were divided into 3 groups. The Qi refinement cultivators with long swords belonged to the Sky Sword Pavilion. The middle-aged and old Qi refinement cultivators all came to the Treasure Pavilion where Gao Yong was. As for some young fellows with low cultivation bases, they formed a separate team led by a burly man. Gao Yong snuck a peek and discovered that on the little fellow's tokens was a drawing of a towering and enormous city. He whispered, "Senior apprentice brother Su, what are these little fellow's tokens?" The others also looked at Su Rui. The Body Refining Pavilion was really mysterious to them. Could this towering city also be a symbol of a subordinate sect? Su Rui explained, "This is the symbol of the warrior's holy city. It is not a subordinate sect of the Body Refining Pavilion. It represents the outer sect disciples of the Body Refining Pavilion." I'm sure you are also curious about the cultivation techniques of the Body Refining Pavilion. As the name suggests, what the Body Refining Pavilion cultivates is the body refining immortal cultivation that has never appeared in the immortal cultivation world. Body refining immortal cultivation? Could it be a cultivation technique that specializes in the cultivation of the physical body? The physical body can be cultivated too, Su Rui said with a look of reverence. It is said that this is the path created by our pavilion master. It can cultivate the physical body to the point that it is comparable to a magic treasure. Cultivators of the same level can hardly resist a body cultivator. A rogue cultivator said excitedly, "Fellow Taoist Su, can we also learn the body refining immortal cultivation technique?" Su Rui shook his head regretfully. Such a powerful technique naturally has restrictions. It must be completed within the age of 50. We are already old and can't cultivate at all. Hearing Su Rui's words, the others looked regretful. Gao Yong's expression changed, and he asked, "Senior brother Su, this warrior's holy city is the place where outer sect disciples cultivate the basic techniques?" Su Rui nodded and said, "Speaking of which, the warrior's holy city was built with the help of the rogue cultivators of the 5-Plate Mountain. Even so, it took a year to build. It can accommodate tens of thousands of disciples. As long as the disciples of the warrior's holy city cultivate the basic techniques to completion and successfully enter the middle stage of the Qi refinement realm, they can join the battle sect of the Body Refining Pavilion." Battle sect? Senior brother Su, apart from the Treasured Tool Pavilion and the Sky Sword Pavilion, what other sects are there in the Body Refining Pavilion? Su Rui said, "I heard Martial Uncle Qin mention that the Body Refining Pavilion has 5 subordinate sections. The 3 battle pavilions and the 2 support pavilions. The 3 battle pavilions are the Sky Sword Pavilion, the 5 Elements Pavilion, and the Spirit Transforming Pavilion. The Sky Sword Pavilion is naturally the former Sky Sword clan. The 5 Elements Pavilion cultivates the orthodox body refining art. Most of the body cultivators belong to the 5 Elements Pavilion. I heard that the Spirit Transforming Pavilion has some relationship with demonic beasts. No matter what, the cultivation techniques of the 3 battle pavilions are all related to the body refining art." Su Rui rubbed the black token on his waist and said, "As for the Treasured Tool Pavilion, it is one of the 2 support pavilions. The elder in charge of this pavilion was once a senior of the Yang clan. The purpose of this pavilion is to refine all the weapons that the body refining pavilion needs, as well as to study the art of refining. Su Rui's eyes flashed with anticipation. As long as we have enough contribution points, we can exchange them for all kinds of pills that can increase our cultivation. We can even exchange them for top-notch treasures that can help with core formation. These words caused everyone to become restless. What they lacked were these kinds of pills. With these, they would definitely be able to continue breaking through. The other support sect is called the Poison Refining Pavilion. I don't know the details. As everyone talked, people dressed as martial artists came out of the valley one after another. Su Rui suddenly said solemnly, "That's right, I have something important to say. Remember, in the Body Refining Pavilion, you can never discriminate against mortal martial artists. These mortal martial artists in front of you are also outer disciples of the Body Refining Pavilion." A rogue cultivator laughed and said, "Senior martial brother Su, you must be joking. How can mortals be considered outer disciples? Could it be that they can form spirit roots out of thin air?" Everyone roared with laughter. But after laughing for a while, they realized that Su Rui's expression was still serious. They couldn't help but quiet down. They looked at each other in confusion. The rogue cultivator from before muttered in a low voice, "Could it be that these mortals really—" Su Rui said seriously, "You just have to remember my words. Don't discriminate against mortal martial artists just because they don't have spirit roots. As for the reason, you will know in the future." As everyone passed through the small valley, the fat man flew out of the small valley. He waved his hand and a huge flying boat appeared out of thin air. He said lightly, "The Body Refining Pavilion's opening ceremony is over. Follow me back to the Yang mountain range. That is where our treasure tool pavilion is stationed. There are still many tasks waiting for you to do." Next, the Foundation Establishment and Chi refining disciples of the Treasure Tool Pavilion boarded the flying boat one by one. The Sky Sword Pavilion and the Warrior's Holy City were also led by core formation cultivators. When Gao Yong walked to the fat man's side, he made an important decision. He gathered his courage and said, "Senior, this junior wants to enter the Warrior's Holy City and become an inner disciple of the Body Refining Pavilion." Chapter 969. Not far from the Valley of Vows, at the entrance of the Body Refining Pavilion, there was a mountain peak with the words, "Body Refining Pavilion" carved on it. Several cultivators sat in an open-air pavilion. Lu Kuan wore a simple black outfit and sat in the main seat. A golden-haired little monkey was lying on his head. The little monkey squinted its eyes and looked very relaxed. Beside him was Yu Longfei of the Sky Sword Pavilion. The others were the first-generation disciples of the Body Refining Pavilion and Fairy Fong Yuan. Lu Kuan looked at a flying ship that was flying away and said in surprise, "I didn't expect that among the people recruited, there would be a Foundation Establishment stage kid who would take the initiative to enter the Warrior's Holy City. Interesting. I observed his physical condition. He seems to be in his 30s, and he has 5 elemental spiritual root." Yu Longfei said in surprise, 5 elemental spiritual roots. To be able to cultivate to the Foundation Establishment stage with such talent, he is obviously very lucky. However, if he wants to advance further after the Foundation Establishment stage, it will be as difficult as ascending to the heavens. The body refining art is more suitable for him. Lu Kuan clicked his tongue and said, "This little guy doesn't know the uniqueness of the body refinement art, but he still made the right decision. It seems that he really has great luck. Little Yun, you should pay more attention to this disciple called Gao Yong in the future." Huang Xiaoyun nodded slightly. Lu Kuan said again, "Little Yun, for the next 20 years, you will be in charge of the Warrior's Holy City. Bring Duan Yun with you. You are most proficient in the body refining art. so you are suitable to guide those peak warriors. Other than the mortal warriors, the warrior's holy city also has the Sky Sword Pavilion and some young Qi refining stage disciples. In 20 years, not only will the 200 peak warriors be able to mature their sternum, the others will also be able to cultivate their muscles and magical power. After 20 years, you will bring these Sky Sword Pavilion disciples back to the Sky Sword Mountain and start the sword body refining art. The others will be left to the 5 Elements Pavilion. Huang Xiaoyun patted his chest and said, "Don't worry, Master. This disciple promises to complete the mission." Lu Kuan was very assured about Huang Xiaoyun. Then, he thought of something and said, "By the way, there will be mortal martial artists from the Jin nation coming here one after another over the years. Take in as many as you can. I've reorganized the realm of martial artists and can let these mortal martial artists see a clear path to immortality." Huang Xiaoyun asked curiously, "A new martial artist realm?" Lu Kuan said, "It's about the same as before. To be more specific, I've divided martial artists into levels 1 to 6, which correspond to the first 6 layers of the Vajra art. A top-class martial artist in the secular world is at most equivalent to a level 4 martial artist. After rank 6, it is the 7th level of the Vajra esoteric art. Due to the integration of the spirit-sensing art, martial artists who have reached the 7th level will be able to generate the power of divine sense. From there, they will be able to activate spirit-controlling immortal artifacts, greatly increasing their strength. This is the Martial Saint realm. Currently, the little guys in the Martial Saint city are all in the Martial Saint realm. When a mortal martial artist reaches the Martial Saint realm, their strength is comparable to a cultivator in the middle stage of the Qi refining realm. If they have good spirit-controlling immortal artifacts and rich combat experience, they can even kill a cultivator in the late stage of the Qi refining realm. It can be said that they are the peak of mortals. Everyone present, including Yu Longfei, nodded silently. In the War of the Wei Nation, they had witnessed the strength of the group of martial saints. In a one-on-one fight, they could easily kill a cultivator in the middle stage of the Qi refining realm. If they worked together, even a cultivator in the late stage of the Qi refining realm would be no match for them. Lu Kuan said, "In the martial saint realm, martial artists have to use spirit-controlling immortal artifacts to focus on tempering their sternum. At the same time, they have to study the physical body tempering technique and try to refine the weapon spirit root. As long as the weapon spirit root is successfully refined, it can transform the power of the muscles and enter the muscle tempering stage to become a true cultivator. Martial Saint realm, immortal cultivator, this is a clear path. The attraction to the martial artists of the Jin nation is beyond imagination." Hearing this, Huang Xiaoyun hesitated and said, "But Master, even after the War of the Wei nation, we have only collected 30 golden cores. As for the weapon spirit root..." Lu Kuan waved his hand and said, "Don't worry. Fairy Fong Yuan and I have developed a secret technique not long ago that can extract the demonic spiritual power from the level 5 demon cores. Although the elemental power of the demon cores has been greatly reduced, it can still be used as a material for the weapon spirit root. Now, the Xiuan state of Chu is full of demonic beasts. The number of demonic beasts above level 5 is much more than before. In half a year, Fairy Fong Yuan and I will go to the Chu nation to find a way to solve the problem of the source of the demon cores." At this point, a brocade box appeared in Lu Kuan's hand. He threw it to Huang Xiaoyun and said, "The 10 selected martial artists have already arrived at the weapon refining hall. Elder Zhu and Yushu are also there. Take the golden cores with you. They have already mastered the physical body tempering technique. As for how many of them can succeed, it will depend on their luck." Disciple will take his leave. Huang Xiaoyun took the brocade box and bowed. Then, He turned into a sword light and shot toward a building below. Yu Longfei said with emotion, "If I hadn't seen that little girl Duanyun, I wouldn't have believed that there is such a secret technique in this world." Lu Kuan sighed softly. Even with the level 5 Yao core, the price of each tool spirit root is extremely high. The first batch of 10 martial saints had the highest battle contribution point. Only then were they able to obtain the qualifications to ascend to immortality. Next, we need to form a competition system. Only the martial saints with the best luck, fighting strength, and comprehension ability can obtain the qualification to ascend to immortality. In the future, the number of mortal disciples should not be too many. Yu Longfei said hesitantly, "According to the progress of the martial saint city, the body refining pavilion's development is still a bit slow. As for the Chu nation," Lu Kuan sneered, "don't worry. I will personally go to the Chu nation and solve these problems." Seeing that Yu Longfei was still a bit worried, Lu Kuan said, "In the following time, I will have to trouble Brother Yu to arrange the disciples of the Sky Sword Pavilion who need to strengthen their meridians. I will go to the Sky Sword Peak in half a year. Now, only I can use the meridians strengthening method. However, as the disciples of both sides study it, there will definitely be other methods to strengthen meridians." Yu Longfei said excitedly, "With the help of Pavilion Master, the overall strength of the Sky Sword Pavilion will rise to another level. Even if the sects of the Chu nation attack, we will have a higher chance of winning." Lu Kuan then looked at Zhao Qingtian. The latter understood, and a jade slip appeared in his hand. A huge map was projected in the air. It was the map of the Wei nation. Lu Kuan said, "Now that the body refining pavilion dominates the land of a nation, the borders of a few states will need to be adjusted." He separated the demonic energy in his body and activated some of his dermic powers. He tapped on the map a few times. In the future, the Sky Sword Pavilion will have the sword body art. The resources of the Tsang Prefecture will be lacking. A part of the Middle Prefecture will belong to the Tsang Prefecture. The Lu Prefecture will be the headquarters of the Body Refining Pavilion and the Treasure Pavilion. It will also need to be expanded to supplement the Middle Prefecture. Yuxian, Shui'er, the two of you cultivate both ice and fire. Currently, your need for spirit qi is very high. On the contrary, your need for demonic qi is not high. The 5 Elements Pavilion of the Middle Prefecture will be handed over to the two of you to gather the resources of the Middle Prefecture. Fellow Taoist Lin Ming of the Sky Sword Pavilion will assist you. Yes, Master. Lu Kuan said to Fang Yuan, "Fairy, I will hand over the Qing Prefecture to the Spirit Transformation Pavilion." Fairy Fang Yuan nodded and said, "Pavilion Master, the other pavilions all have their own sources of disciples. Our Spirit Transformation Pavilion," Lu Kuan smiled and said, "Fairy, have you forgotten about the demonic spirit art? The disciples of the Spirit Transformation Pavilion do not need to cultivate the Vajra art. As for the direction of development of the Spirit Transformation Pavilion, I will discuss it with you when we arrive at the Chu country." Fang Yuan thought of the mystical demonic spirit art and understood. No matter if it was the body refining technique or their own cultivation techniques, they all needed to cultivate the spirit transformation technique to the foundation establishment stage. Even if there were new disciples, it would still take time to cultivate to the foundation establishment stage. There was no rush. On the contrary, the trip to the Chu country that Lu Kuan promised her was more important. It was related to whether she could enter the nascent soul stage and whether the Spirit Transformation Pavilion could truly become powerful in the future. In the end, Lu Kuan looked at Zhao Qingtian and said with a smile, "Qingtian, I'm relieved to have you in charge of the Poison Pavilion. Let's do as we've discussed. We'll split the Poison Pavilion into 2 branches, the Holy Poison Technique and the Poison Wood Body Refinement Technique. The former will develop the Poison Refining Technique and create more poisons to refine elixirs. The latter will focus on the cultivation of the body refining treasure. It will be a two-way development. Furthermore, with the help of the transportation array, we can also send our disciples to the Qi Prefecture's West Prefecture to train. Zhao Qingtian said, "Don't worry, Master. Qingtian will arrange it properly." After arranging everything, Lu Kuan stood up and looked at the mountain range in front of him. He said slowly, "Now that the body refining pavilion has monopolized the resources of the Chu country and has been divided into 6 pavilions for development, with the Mountain of Vows as its foundation, in time it will definitely become the top sect in the immortal cultivation world." Everyone else revealed a yearning look. Fairy Fong Yuan covered her mouth and laughed. "Pavilion Master, you must have miscalculated. The 5 Elements Pavilion, the Sky Sword Pavilion, the Spirit Transformation Pavilion, the Treasure Pavilion, and the Poison Refining Pavilion are clearly the 5 pavilions." Lu Kuan laughed and said, "I didn't miscalculate. There is also the Demon Refining Pavilion. However, it has too few disciples and is not mature yet. If it develops smoothly, its strength will not be weaker than any of the pavilions. The cultivation of the Demon Refining Pavilion, squeak, squeak." At this moment, Xiao Jin, who was lying on top of Lu Kuan's head, suddenly cried out. Everyone was stunned. Lu Kuan also sensed something. He looked in the direction of the demonic abyss and snorted, "I knew someone was going to test the body refining pavilion. You guys stay here. I will be back soon." After speaking, Lu Kuan's figure flashed and disappeared with Xiao Jin. Chapter 970. Lu Kuan's speed was astonishing. He streaked across the sky and landed on the cliff at the edge of the demon abyss. Xiao Jin looked at the intact restriction of the demon abyss, and its ears trembled again. It looked a little confused. Then, Lu Kuan patted its head, and it obediently turned into a yellow light and disappeared into the ribs. Lu Kuan closed his eyes and stood quietly on the spot. Xiao Jin's cry was because it heard the commotion at the demon abyss. As for him, he relied on the 5 elements chaos demon body to sense the abnormal movement of the heaven and earth essence qi. In his perception, the heaven and earth essence qi here was swirling in a unique way. It was obvious that a powerful spell had activated the heaven and earth essence qi. However, his divine sense could not sense the existence of any spell. Lu Kuan said indifferently, "What a powerful illusion spell. Since this fellow Taoist is here, why don't you come out and meet me?" Seeing that the surroundings were as silent as before, Lu Kuan sneered. His eyes suddenly emitted a dazzling golden light, like 2 small suns. After the refinement of the Mountain of Vows, Lu Kuan's golden eye divine ability was further strengthened. Although he was still not able to use his offensive divine ability, his ability to restrain all kinds of illusions had greatly increased. Lu Kuan's eyes swept around, and his arms suddenly expanded. He directly activated the connecting arms divine ability, and a streamlined invisible vortex surged around his body. His figure flashed, and he appeared on the empty ground at the edge of the cliff. The abnormal heaven and earth essence qi was attracted and surged into the vortex. Under the severing fist's divine ability, it turned into 2 faint black halos that enveloped his fist. In an instant, several fist shadows bombarded out. Boom! An intense spiritual light flashed, and a terrifying air wave surged out in all directions. The ground of the cliff was not penetrated, and a red-haired old man appeared in its place. His eyes flashed with anger, and the magic in his body surged, maintaining a layer of magic shield. The halo of vitality on it trembled violently, blocking several fist shadows. At this moment, a huge figure covered in purplish-black scales and with bone spurs on its joints appeared beside Lu Kuan. A thick corpse aura spread out. It was a demonic zombie whose aura had reached the peak of the middle nascent soul stage. The demonic zombie's hands, which were covered with sharp nails, ruthlessly stabbed towards Lu Kuan's head. At the same time, a bone spur on its knee pierced towards Lu Kuan's dantian. Lu Kuan coldly snorted. His ferocious right arm quickly retracted, and his thick palm directly grabbed the demonic zombie's head, ignoring the demonic zombie's attack. Clang! Several crisp sounds of collision were heard. The demonic zombie's claws only scratched the skin on the surface of Lu Kuan's head, and the bone spur pierced several inches into Lu Kuan's abdomen before getting stuck. Lu Kuan's abdomen muscles tightened, and the demonic zombie couldn't pull out the bone spur on its knee for a while. At this time, Lu Kuan's other thick palm turned into a fist, and a silver vortex condensed at the tip of his finger. Like a silver sword, it directly bombarded the end of the bone spur with astonishing penetrative power. The demonic zombie trembled all over and let out a painful roar. The bone spur on its knee broke. Its scale-covered head squeaked, and the cold demonic power of the middle nascent soul stage poured into its head, turning into a dense demonic light, trying to resist the big hand that wanted to crush its head. After a round of attacks, Lu Kuan had no intention to follow up with another attack. He dragged the demonic zombie and used its body as a stick, smashing the red-haired old man's shield and blasting him away. The demonic zombie took advantage of this opportunity, and 10 purple scales exploded on its head, breaking away from Lu Kuan's control. The red-haired old man's figure stabilized about 10 feet away. A dark yellow umbrella-shaped magic weapon appeared in front of him, and the halo on the shield became deeper. The demonic zombie returned to the old man's side. Most of the purple scales on its head were broken, and black blood flowed out. Its red eyes flashed with fear. The red-haired old man arranged his defensive means and quickly said, "Fellow Taoist, please wait. This Qian has no malice." Lu Kuan withdrew his divine ability and grabbed the bone spur on his abdomen. The wounds on his body quickly healed, and the venom filled with corpse qi was squeezed out by his squirming muscles. He slowly said, "Late nascent soul stage cultivation and a peak middle nascent soul stage demonic zombie. It seems that your excellency is the new great elder of the blood refining sect, Qian Jingshan." Qian Jingshan looked at the other party's body that recovered in the blink of an eye. His pupils shrank and he said, "Fellow Taoist, you know me so well. It seems that fellow Taoist sure is doomed. How should I address you? I think that I am well informed, but I have never heard of the body refining pavilion." Lu Kuan said coldly, "I am Lu Kuan, the owner of the body refining pavilion. The body refining pavilion has just been established, so it is normal that fellow Taoist Qian has not heard of it. Why? Are you here to avenge Shi Jingtian?" Qian Jingshan shook his head and said, "Master Lu should know that the blood refining sect's encampment in Wei Kingdom's central region has been evacuated a few months ago. Our sect has no malice towards the body refining pavilion." Lu Kuan snorted and said, "If that is the case, what is your purpose for sneaking into our pavilion?" Qian Jingshan cupped his hands and said, "Master Lu, please forgive me. I came here to take back the blood demon sword in Shi Jingtian's hands." Lu Kuan heard this and a spiritual light flashed in his hand. 3 blood-colored swords appeared in his hand. The 3 blood demon swords flickered with demonic light and emitted a powerful aura. They trembled spiritually, but they did not break free from Lu Kuan's hand. They looked very obedient. Lu Kuan treated them like treasures and said, "These 3 blood demon swords are old Fiend Pang's natal magic treasures that he refined for many years. They are also infused with silver dragon meteorite iron. Not only can they shrink into flying needles, they can also transform into giant swords. They are a set of 6. If 2 nascent soul realm advanced stage cultivators of the blood refining sect work together to activate them, their power will be terrifying. The value of such a treasure is immeasurable. However, since fellow Taoist Qian is willing to pay a sufficient price, Lu is willing to make a deal." Qian Jingshan's face darkened. He was now certain that Shi Jingtian was killed by this person. Even his nascent soul was searched. Otherwise, this Master Lu would not know so much about the blood demon swords. Qian Jingshan frowned. After a short exchange, although he could not see through the other party's spiritual power, his attacks contained the power of the heaven and earth Yuan Qi. He was also a grand cultivator. The owner of the body refining pavilion obviously focused on his physical body. Qian Jingshan, a mid-nascent soul realm demonic zombie, was crushed by his physical body and was injured in a single exchange. Moreover, the other party's golden spiritual eye could see through his illusions. It could be said that his abilities were restrained by the other party. If the battle continued, he would not be a match for the other party. Thinking of this, Qian Jingshan retreated another 10 feet and said, "Fellow Taoist, you seem to have a request. Why don't you say it?" Lu Kuan kept the bone spear in his hand and said, "If fellow Taoist Qian is willing to exchange the complete blood demon technique, Lu will immediately give you the 3 blood demon swords." Qian Jingshan's face darkened and said, "Master Lu, you must be joking. The core techniques of our sect cannot be exchanged. If you don't want to, I will not force you. Goodbye." After he finished speaking, the demonic power in his body surged, and he was about to fly away. Lu Kuan laughed and said, "Lu is just saying. Since the blood demon technique cannot be exchanged, let's talk about something else." Qian Jingshan heaved a sigh of relief. He had pretended to leave because he wanted to test the waters. From his words, it seemed that the blood demon sword was not something that Pavilion Master Lu needed. He pretended to be cold and said, "Master Lu, please don't ask for too much. Although these 3 blood demon swords are precious treasures, they are still the natal magic treasures of our sect's Elder Pang. No one can unleash their full power, so their value is not that high." Lu Kuan pondered for a moment and said, "In that case, Lu will not be greedy. As long as fellow Taoist Qian provides the refining methods of 30 demonic treasures and 10 demon general-level corpses, I can exchange them for the 3 blood demon swords." Qian Jingshan frowned and said, "The refining methods of the demonic treasures are not a problem, but I can only give you 3 demon general-level corpses at most. As compensation, I can give Master Lu 20 corpses of grade 5 to grade 7 demon soldiers." Lu Kuan said, "The value of demon soldier corpses is too low. How about adding some materials? A demon essence diamond, 10 kilograms of demon essence stone, and 50 stalks of 1,000-year demon dragon grass." Master Lu is asking for too much. The value of a demon essence diamond is at least equal to 5 demon general corpses. Fellow Taoist Qian, you can't say that, after a long back and forth, the two sides finally settled on 30 refining methods of the demonic treasures, 5 demon general corpses, 10 core formation demon soldier corpses, and a demon essence diamond in exchange for the 3 blood demon swords. Qian Jingshan breathed a sigh of relief and said, "If Master Lu doesn't have any problems, then we can use the oath stone to make a contract." Lu Kuan nodded and said, "No problem. However, apart from this deal, Lu has another suggestion." "Master Lu, please speak." Lu Kuan said, "The body refining pavilion and the blood refining sect have no conflict of interest. Both sides have just gone through a war and need to rest and recuperate. Why don't we make an agreement that we won't attack each other? This will be beneficial to both sides." Qian Jingshan's eyes flashed with interest when he heard this. The body refining pavilion was close to the southern region of the state of Qi and had a great cultivator like Lu Kuan overseeing it. Although the blood refining sect didn't fear them, they needed to rest and recuperate during this period of time. Forming an alliance wouldn't be a bad thing for the blood refining sect. Lu Kuan continued, "The blood refining sect didn't suffer any significant losses in the war of the state of Qi. However, their overall strength has decreased by a lot. The next Yuan secret realm will be very important. If fellow Taoist Qian is willing to sign an alliance agreement, The body refining pavilion can lend a hand the next time the Yuan's secret realm opens. Qian Jingshan raised his eyebrows and said, Master Lu has a good plan. The disciples of the body refining pavilion will also be able to obtain benefits when they enter the Yuan's secret realm. However, this matter is not trivial. I have to discuss it with my fellow disciples. Let's first confirm the agreement. The next time we meet, I will give Master Lu an answer. All right. Lu Kuan and Qian Jingshan both had oath stones. The two agreed on the time and place of the transaction and signed the contract. Then, Qian Jingshan turned into a streak of light and left the Yunling mountain range. Chapter 971. Among the many buildings in the body refining pavilion's mountain gate, there was a strangely shaped pentagonal hall. It was made up of 5 slanted rooms covered in a 5-colored spirit light array. The rich spirit energy of the Cloud Ridge mountain range was attracted and separated into 5 types of spirit energy through the steeple in the middle. Metal, wood, water, fire, and earth spirit energy respectively flowed into the 5 rooms. The words, Refining Hall, were engraved on the outside of the steeple in the middle. On the ground below the steeple stood 10 martial artists, 7 men and 3 women. The men had strong bodies and the women had well-defined muscles. Each of them emitted a fierce aura. Zhu Siming, Qin Yushu, Huang Xiaoyun, and Duan Yiyun stood in front of them. Huang Xiaoyun looked around and slowly said, The 10 of you are very talented in body refining. Not only have you tempered your sternum to a suitable standard, but you are also the strongest among the outer disciples. You can even kill cultivators at the great circle of qi refining stage. Even so, the risk of fusing with your sternum is still very high. You have to be prepared for death. If you are not careful, your body will explode and you will die. But if you can cross it, it will be a vast world. The 10 martial artists clenched their fists tightly, their eyes shining with longing. Huang Xiaoyun said, I have already taught you the method of fusing with the tool spirit root and the body refining art. I will not be long-winded. Who will be the first to try? Hearing these words, all the martial artists looked at a large bald man in the group. This person didn't hesitate and took a step forward. His expression was firm as he said, Martial Ancestor, we have already discussed this. This disciple will go first. Huang Xiaoyun nodded and said lightly, The rest of you stay here and wait for us to come out. Yes, Martial Ancestor. Then, Huang Xiaoyun's hand flashed with a spell and opened the stone door of a room. Rich spirit energy of fire element rushed out. Zhu Siming and the others walked in under the nervous gazes of the 9 martial artists. The stone door fell down. Although this place was called the refining hall, it was completely different from an ordinary refining room. There was no furnace or other refining-related items in the room, only a cold stone bed. The stone bed was dark red and emitted a red halo. It seemed to be made of some kind of fire attribute material. The fire attribute spiritual energy in the room gathered around the stone bed. After the stone door was closed, Huang Xiaoyun said to the bald man, Li Kuei, you've been in the crafting room all year long, and you've been using the high-temperature spiritual energy from the earth fire stone to temper your body. Your sternum has a bit of fire attribute aura, so your tool spirit root is suitable for fire attribute. Evian has explained the steps and methods of fusion to you in detail. Do you have any questions? Li Kuei shook his head. All right, let's ascend the immortal platform. Li Kuei took a deep breath. Then, he took off his clothes. Underneath was a set of light silver soft armor. This glittering and translucent soft armor wrapped around his torso. On his chest, there was an oval-shaped black object with a fiery red spirit stone embedded in it. This oval-shaped object was the spirit-controlling magical instrument used by the martial saint to temper his sternum. Li Kuei took it off, revealing the skin on his chest. Then, he pressed on the soft armor scales near his chest twice, and put in 2 fire attribute mid-level spirit stones. This soft armor itself was also a spirit-controlling magical instrument. Li Kuei took out 2 bottles of his essence blood and gave them to Zhu Siming. Then, he walked forward and lay on the stone bed. Huang Xiaoyun looked at Li Kuei with great expectation. Li Kuei's physical strength was naturally 20% stronger than other warriors. Before he joined the sect, he was a famous blacksmith in the mortal world. His skill in refining weapons was not bad. Many spirit-controlling magical instruments used by the martial saints in the sect were made by him. When a martial saint refined a spirit-controlling magical instrument, in addition to the physical strength and the dragon-breaking stone mold in the treasure pavilion, they also had to perform the secret art of soul fusion with other martial saints. After performing the secret art hundreds of times, Li Kuei's soul consciousness was close to the 9th level of the Qi refining realm, and it was very condensed. In addition to fighting skills and physical strength, the most important thing for a martial saint was the spirit-controlling magical instrument. Li Kuei's soul consciousness was thick and condensed, and the spirit-controlling magical instrument was stronger than other martial saints. In the sect battle a year ago, he had killed a cultivator who had completed the Qi refining realm. He deserved to be called the strongest martial saint of this generation. Li Kuei's information flashed in Huang Xiaoyun's mind. His body flashed, and he appeared at the edge of the stone bed. Holding a short sword in his hand, he drew a few golden rays on Li Kuei's chest. A piece of sternum was gently picked out and floated in front of Zhu Siming. The blood in Li Kuei's chest flowed, and a thin layer of blood appeared on the edge of the wound. Then, Huang Xiaoyun took out a fire attribute gold core and said, "I'll have to trouble Elder Zhu and Senior Martial Brother Qin." Zhu Siming and Qin Yushu nodded. They took out a pile of materials and started to refine the tool spirit root according to the method they had decided on. Li Kuei lay on the stone bed and carefully observed the process of refining the tool spirit root with his soul consciousness. He didn't dare to be careless. The key to the fusion of the tool spirit root was the formation of the blood essence seed. Before the formation of the blood essence seed, one had to control the blood essence in the body and build a capillary network according to the spirit array pattern on the tool spirit root to balance the power of the tool spirit root. Therefore, Li Kuei had to observe the carving process of the spirit array pattern to help build the capillary network later. Zhu Siming and Qin Yushu were very familiar with refining the tool spirit root. Half a day later, a piece of sternum surrounded by light red patterns appeared above Li Kuei's body, emitting a fire attribute aura. Huang Xiaoyun said in a deep voice, "Li Kuei, prepare to receive the tool spirit root." Hearing this, Li Kuei immediately threw 3 blood qi pills made from his own blood qi into his mouth. The power of blood qi in his body doubled, and the blood membrane around his sternum also became thicker. His muscles trembled rapidly, and the spirit stones on the soft scales emitted a red light. Under the effect of this spirit-controlling magical artifact, the surrounding fire attribute spiritual energy rushed into Li Kuei's body. His vigorous blood essence carried a strong fire attribute aura. Seeing that Li Kuei was ready, Zhu Siming waved his hand, and the light red sternum, which carried a strong fire attribute spiritual energy, fell on Li Kuei's chest. It was completely different from the previous experiment. Because his blood was temporarily filled with fire attribute spiritual energy, the tool spirit root, which had the same attribute, didn't resist for a while. In the next moment, Li Kuei's rich blood essence surged out and wrapped around the tool spirit root. The spiritual energy inside the tool spirit root was instantly suppressed by the majestic blood essence. Li Kuei's face was extremely pale, and his heart was beating violently. Most of the blood essence in his body had gathered in his chest. In addition to suppressing the spiritual energy, there was also a small amount of blood essence. While the two were in a deadlock, the blood essence slowly traced the light red lines on the tool spirit root. The structure of the blood capillary network put a lot of pressure on the physical body and the divine sense. In addition to operating the blood control technique, the physical body also had to transport spiritual energy through the Vajra incantation to maintain the fire attribute aura in the blood. The divine sense was also divided into two functions. The first was to activate the spirit-controlling magical artifact, and the second was to assist in the accurate tracing of the blood capillary network. Li Kuei was wholeheartedly immersed in the process. The dense blood capillaries spread along the spiritual energy formation and balanced the violent spiritual energy inside. Time passed slowly. At first, the spiritual energy was very resistant to the physical body. However, as the blood capillary network was perfected, the spiritual energy became more and more stable. The huge amount of blood essence that was suppressing it gradually converged and merged into the blood capillary network. Gradually, a small red dot suddenly appeared in the center of the sternum. Then, with the injection of blood essence, it quickly expanded and grew to the size of a fingernail. At this moment, the fire attribute spiritual energy in the room became active and rushed toward the sternum. A dazzling red halo exploded from the weapon spirit root and spread to Li Kuei's entire body. Li Kuei's expression was distorted, as if he was enduring some kind of pain. His hands tightly gripped the edge of the stone bed, and his muscles trembled rapidly. The rich spiritual energy in the room continued to rush into his body. Boom! A layer of faint red light film appeared on the surface of Li Kuei's exposed skin, and a weak fire attribute aura spread out. The fusion of the weapon spirit root was successful. Good boy. He actually took advantage of the moment when the weapon spirit root was fusing to directly convert the spiritual energy in his muscles. A mortal martial artist has finally taken this step. Feeling this aura, Huang Xiaoyun and the others were pleasantly surprised. The process of Li Kuei's fusion with the weapon spirit root was the best method they had discussed with Lu Kuan. Although the sternum of these martial saints met the refining requirements of the weapon spirit root, the method of fusing with the weapon spirit root required extremely high control of the physical body and divine sense. The slightest bit of carelessness would cause the spiritual energy of the weapon spirit root to explode, and both the body and the person would die. This Li Kuei was indeed the #1 person among the martial saints. Not only was his blood essence abundant, but his divine sense had also become incomparably refined after a long period of refining. He had smoothly completed the fusion with the weapon spirit root. Borrowing the power of the weapon spirit root, he converted the spiritual energy in his muscles in one go and entered the muscle refining stage. With the body of a mortal, he had stepped into the ranks of cultivators. Chapter 972. Lu Kuan sat cross-legged in a spirit energy pillar in the Devil's Den. Pure spirit energy and the surrounding demonic energy continuously flowed into his body. The muscles all over his body were taut like lumps of iron. They trembled fiercely, and a frightening aura of destruction circulated inside. It had been 2 months since the last sect opening ceremony. During this time, Lu Kuan had borrowed the rich demonic aura of the Demon Abyss's underground cave to explore the cultivation path of the bone transformation stage. After a body cultivator crossed the heavenly tribulation and entered the bone transformation stage, the body would synthesize a special energy called demonic energy. When the life force was separated, the demonic energy would enter a state of cultivation. It would destroy each other in the bones, producing a destructive power. However, after the cultivation of the bone treasure stage, the body cultivator's bones had become extremely powerful. Even the destructive power of the bone transformation stage was very slow to strengthen. The bone transformation stage body was of the same origin. Even if one didn't cultivate, the powerful cell origin of the bones would imperceptibly influence the muscles, blood, and internal organs, causing the other parts of the body to slowly improve. Of course, this imperceptible influence was also slow. If one didn't care, it would take tens of thousands of years for there to be obvious changes. Therefore, one needed to actively cultivate to accelerate this imperceptible process. According to this point, Lu Kuan concluded that the bone transformation stage cultivation used the bones as the core to accelerate the assimilation of the muscles, blood, and internal organs. Muscles were a powerful part of the body second only to the bones. They were attached to the bones through the tendons and were the most affected by the bones. Lu Kuan's current muscles, in a tense state, had a defensive power that was no less than an ordinary magic weapon. It could withstand the tempering of the destructive power. After an unknown period of time, Lu Kuan stopped absorbing the demonic energy. His muscles relaxed and he opened his eyes. He felt the changes in his muscles and revealed an expression of, as expected. My previous judgment is the same. This kind of rough muscle tempering won't work. Although the destructive power entering the muscles has been reduced by a lot through the dispersal of the bones, it still has a strong destructive power to the muscles. Under the tempering of the destructive power, the muscles are repeatedly broken and reformed. The material quality is rapidly improving, but the vitality of the muscles is also being destroyed by the destructive power. If I continue to cultivate like this, the quality of my muscles will become stronger and stronger. However, without vitality, my muscles will become incomparably stiff, turning into dead muscles like demonic zombies. I won't even be able to use the flesh condensation technique. Bones were naturally solid materials and could be used as a treasure to temper them. However, muscles were different. They were as soft as cotton and as hard as iron. That was its essence. It was a living body. When the muscles were tight and contracted, they could become as hard as magical equipment. When they relaxed, they could stretch freely, displaying astonishing flexibility and elasticity. This kind of property was not like a magic treasure at all. Instead, it was more like a life form. It could not be refined like a bone treasure. Lu Kuan deduced in his heart, the cultivation of the bone transformation stage requires the gradual assimilation of the corporeal body. The bones are already in the mature stage of the magic treasure. If the muscles want to transform to this level, they must maintain these two characteristics. The hardness of muscles in the taut state is no less than that of magical equipment in the mature phase. Secondly, the muscle fibers in the relaxed state can be stretched agilely, if not longer. After being tempered by the destructive power during the bone treasure stage, it takes time to nurture. Because the bones are dead objects, their self-healing ability is poor, and they need to be nurtured to recover. However, the vitality of muscles is extremely high. During the tempering process of the destructive power, they can self-repair broken muscle fibers. However, in this process, their vitality is destroyed. If you want the muscles to reach a perfect state, you have to strengthen the vitality of the muscles at the same time. Muscles are not magic treasures. Vitality cannot be nurtured through magic power. Blood essence can only accelerate the repair of the tendons. Only the energy gifted by the heavenly tribulation can do that. Thinking of this, Lu Kuan's body suddenly emitted a rich aura of life. This aura flowed through his muscles in a unique way. Lu Kuan murmured, "The thing that can really maintain the vitality of muscles is the power of life." After entering the bone transformation stage, he had been studying the power of life. However, other than separating and fusing the chaos magic energy, he did not find any other uses for the power of life. Until Fairy Fong Yuan gave him the spirit transformation art. A jade slip appeared in Lu Kuan's hand. He revealed a rueful expression, that senior of the spirit transformation sect is indeed powerful. She was able to determine that the spirit transformation art would inspire my body refining cultivation method. She must have guessed the power of life. After a body cultivator passes the thunder tribulation, the power of life appears in their body. The same is true for a transformed monster beast. For a transformed monster beast, the power of life is an indispensable factor for a breakthrough in cultivation. Conversely, the cultivation of a body cultivator during the bone transformation stage must also be greatly related to the power of life. Although the thunder tribulation of heaven and earth attempts to destroy body cultivators, the power of life left behind after a breakthrough is an incomparably precious gift. Lu Kuan looked at the spirit transformation art in his hand. The power of life circulated more and more smoothly, and waves of refreshing feeling came from his muscles. The method of using the power of life in the spirit transformation art inspired him greatly. After repeated experiments, Lu Kuan found a method to use the power of life to strengthen the vitality of his muscles. The muscle cultivation method of the bone transformation stage should be divided into 2 stages. The first stage is to temper the material of the muscle fibers. At this time, the muscles of the entire body must be taught to maintain the strength of a magic treasure. The destructive power radiating from the bones must be used to temper the muscles. The second stage is to use the power of life to restore and strengthen the vitality of the muscles. If my judgment is correct, the taut state of the muscles is comparable to a magic treasure in the mature stage. When the flexibility and elasticity of the muscles greatly increase, that is when the next small stage is reached, the middle stage of the bone transformation stage. Thinking of this, Lu Kuan's smile suddenly froze. Wait a minute. At that time, the muscles and bones will be at the same level. The muscles will also be able to contain magic energy. Only when the physical strength and energy of the body transform at the same time can I be considered to have entered the next small stage. But the power of life in my body is limited. Even if the muscles can contain magic energy, the power of life is not enough to cover more magic energy. Lu Kuan couldn't help but withdraw the power of life and exit the cultivation state. He stood up and paced back and forth. From the 8th level to the middle stage of the transformation stage of the 9th level, and then to the late stage of the transformation stage of the 10th level, which is comparable to a great cultivator, the power of life will become denser and denser. Therefore, their appearance will gradually become more similar to that of the human race. In order to enter the nascent soul stage with the spirit transformation art, one must borrow the power of life from the transformation stage of the demon beast. After that, the middle stage and late stage of the nascent soul stage rely on even denser power of life. Therefore, the nascent soul stage cultivators of the spirit transformation sect all had cultivation levels closely following their spirit beast. When a demon cultivator breaks through the 8th level and above, there will no longer be a transformation thunder tribulation. In other words, the cultivation of a transformation stage demon cultivator will increase their power of life. Thinking of this, Lu Kuan squeezed the jade slip in his hand and frowned. The spirit transformation art only has the method to use the power of life. There is no method to cultivate the power of life, nor is there any record of the cultivation method of demon cultivators. Strange. Fang Yuan can't have a secret stash. Could it be that there is some taboo about the cultivation method of demon cultivators that it is not recorded? After pondering for a long time, Lu Kuan shook his head. Forget it. In any case, I will go to the state of Chu this time. When the time comes, I will catch a few transformation stage demon cultivators and study them. If the cultivation method of the bone transformation stage can also increase the power of life, then it will be truly perfect. Right, the prototype of the battle treasure still hasn't been repaired. It also needs the power of life. Chapter 973. At the top of the Sky Sword Peak, on a platform covered by a restriction, there was a Dharma array with a diameter of 10 feet. 2 core formation cultivators were adjusting the array and checking the spirit disc in their hands from time to time. A skinny old man with sharp eyebrows stood not far away, exuding an imposing aura. He was the nascent soul elder of the body refining pavilion, Dugufeng. After the body refining pavilion dominated the Wei nation, the internal positions were adjusted. As the founder of the sect, Lu Kuan was the well-deserved leader of the body refining pavilion and the owner of the body refining pavilion. Below the pavilion owner were the deputy pavilion owners and the elders. As long as the cultivators of the body refining pavilion entered the nascent soul stage, they could be promoted to an elder and enjoy greatly increased sect resources. As for the disciples below the nascent soul stage, only the pavilion owner had the authority to appoint them. Although Zhu Siming and Fairy Fang Yuan were only at the core formation stage, they were appointed as the elders of the body refining pavilion by Lu Kuan. As for the deputy pavilion owners of the body refining pavilion, they had to be at least at the nascent soul stage to be in charge of the various pavilions. As the 6 body refining pavilions had just started developing, the only deputy pavilion owner was Yu Longfei. Behind Dugufeng stood 8 sword cultivator disciples quietly. Their bodies flashed with sharp metal-type dermic powers, and they were all at the early stage foundation establishment stage. The most eye-catching one was a middle-aged man in the lead. He looked ordinary and had sharp eyes. Although his cultivation was also at the early stage foundation establishment stage, the purity of his dermic powers was more than twice that of the others. The extremely pure metal-type dermic powers gave off a feeling similar to sword-intent dermic powers, exuding an extremely sharp aura. Dugufeng looked at the teleportation array that was about to be completed and said slowly, "Yiming, have you decided to go to the warrior's holy city?" The middle-aged man said with certainty, "That's right. If I don't cultivate the Vajra art, I won't be able to continue cultivating the Heaven Sword art." There was a hint of fanaticism in his eyes as he said, "Furthermore, only by personally experiencing the body tempering technique will I have the chance to find a way to strengthen my meridians. The path of sword cultivation will definitely be able to restore the glory of the ancient times." Dugufeng sighed softly and said, "Compared to the ancient times, there have been some changes. Many herbs cannot grow, especially those that strengthen the meridians. This is why the path of sword cultivation has become so difficult." Although Pavilion Master's meridian strengthening technique will deplete the essence of a sword cultivator's physical body and can only be strengthened once, with this secret technique, junior brother Lin Ming will be able to enter the nascent soul stage in one go. Senior brother Yu and I will also have the opportunity to advance further. The heavenly sword art that we cultivate lacks a method to continuously strengthen our meridians. When the middle-aged man heard this, his eyes became even more resolute. "Ancestor, don't worry. After this disciple cultivates the Vajra arts, I will definitely search for the method to strengthen my meridians." Dugufeng said, "The foundational technique of the body tempering technique will initially strengthen your meridians. You will also be able to avoid a crisis. Otherwise, your meridians will not be able to withstand the heavenly sword art rashly with the extreme magic power of the ancient foundational technique. Your aptitude and temperament are the strongest among this generation of disciples of the Sky Sword Pavilion. Although it is important to find a method to strengthen your meridians, you must not delay your own cultivation. If you are not confident, then switch to the sword body art. If your meridians cannot be continuously strengthened, then with your solid foundation, it will be difficult for the heavenly sword art to advance further." The middle-aged man was silent for a moment before he said, "Ancestor, is this sword body art really stronger than the heavenly sword art?" Dugufeng frowned and said, "The two are not easy to compare. The sword body art is a new technique. Currently, only Huang Xiaoyun has cultivated it to the core formation stage. Although his strength far surpasses other sword cultivators of the same level, according to the Pavilion Master's path of body tempering, his breakthrough to the nascent soul stage is much more dangerous than the heavenly sword art. And although the heavenly sword art is weaker than the sword body art in terms of combat power, and there is the obstruction of weak meridians, but this path has already been walked by countless predecessors. It directly leads to the soul formation stage, and the technique is complete. The middle-aged man clenched his fist and said, "I don't believe that the ancient sword technique is weaker than other unorthodox sword techniques. I heard that there is a fellow foundation establishment stage disciple of the sword body art. When I go to Luzhou this time, I must exchange pointers with her." Dugu Feng laughed and said, "Yiming, although your magic power and divine sense far surpass those of the same level, Duan Iyun has not only entered the foundation establishment stage, she has also comprehended sword intent. You are not her opponent." Comprehending sword intent at the foundation establishment stage. That's great. Not only was the middle-aged man not afraid, but his battle intent was bursting. Seeing this, Dugu Feng helplessly shook his head. This seemingly middle-aged man was actually only 33 years old. His name was Dugu Yiming, a disciple of the Dugu clan. He possessed the Heavenly Sword Sect's rare top-grade spiritual root, the metal attribute Heavenly Spiritual Root. The most commendable thing was that Dugu Yiming had a rebellious character in his bones, and he was extremely hard-working in his cultivation. When he was 18 years old, he entered the great completion of Qi refinement and could break through to the foundation establishment stage at any time. However, Dugu Yiming was extremely stubborn. He wanted to imitate the ancient cultivators and refused to take the foundation establishment pill. He wanted to use the ancient foundation establishment method to build his foundation. In the War of the Wei Kingdom, Dugu Yiming obtained many treasures to strengthen his divine sense. Finally, half a month ago, he successfully broke through and entered the foundation establishment stage. Dugu Yiming, who broke through with the ancient foundation establishment method, had extremely pure metal attribute magic power. If he cultivated the heavenly sword art, his magic power would become extremely sharp, and his meridians would not be able to withstand it. Therefore, Dugu Yiming decided to enter the warrior's holy city. On one hand, he cultivated the Vajra spell to increase the strength of his meridians, and on the other hand, he was looking for a method to continuously strengthen his meridians. In Dugu Yiming's heart, a true sword cultivator could behead someone from 1,000 miles away, control a sword formation at close range, and fight one against many with ease. There was no need to refine one's body into a sword. This was simply barbaric. That so-called sword body art was just an unorthodox sword cultivation technique. As long as he could find a way to continuously strengthen his meridians, the ancient sword Tao would definitely shine brightly. After a while, the white-haired old man who was adjusting the Dharma array said respectfully, "Uncle Master, the Dharma array is adjusted. We can teleport at any time." Dugu Yiming nodded slightly and led the group of foundation establishment disciples forward. He activated the teleportation array, threw out 9 teleportation talismans, and disappeared in the array. The current Wei Kingdom was the world of the body refining pavilion. Even those small families and itinerant cultivators had been taken in by the body refining pavilion. The Qi Kingdom's blood refining clan and the body refining pavilion had already reached an alliance agreement around the Wei Kingdom. They would not attack each other for 300 years. In the east of the Wei Kingdom was the Jin Kingdom, which was barren of spirit Qi. In the south was a vast desert country with very few cultivators. The only threat was the Chu Kingdom in the west. As a precaution, the body refining pavilion used the remaining ethereal spirit crystals to build teleportation arrays in the 4 major states of the Wei Kingdom. If any special situation occurred, the experts of the 5 Elements Pavilion, the Spirit Transformation Pavilion, and the Cloud Ridge Mountain Range could support the Sky Sword Pavilion at any time. Accompanied by a white spirit light, Dugu Feng and the others appeared in a secret chamber. Beneath their feet was a huge teleportation array with a diameter of 30 feet. Dugufeng shook his head and woke up from his slight dizziness. "Greetings, Elder Dugu." Pan Yan's incomparably strong body stood outside the teleportation array and bowed respectfully. It seemed that he had been waiting for a long time. Dugufeng asked, "Martial Nephew Pan, did the Pavilion Master send you here?" Pan Yan nodded and said, "Yes, Master is waiting for you in the weapon refining hall." Dugufeng said, "Martial Nephew, the Sky Sword Pavilion's Foundation establishment disciples are going to the warrior's holy city. Bring them there. I'll go look for the Pavilion Master." "Yes, Elder." Dugufeng then turned into a streak of light and quickly left the secret chamber. Chapter 974. There was a medium-sized secret room on the steeple in the center of the weapon refining hall. It was different from the room where mortal martial artists tried to break through the weapon's spirit root. Not only was there rich spirit chi, but there was also pure demon chi. In the middle of the room was a broken dragon's stone platform. Lu Kuan and Dugufeng stood at the side and chatted. Dugufeng's face was still full of shock. 7 martial sages successfully merged with the weapon's spirit root. If Pavilion Master didn't say it himself, I wouldn't have believed it. A 70% success rate for mortals to form spirit root. If this news were to spread, the entire immortal cultivation world would be shocked. Lu Kuan shook his head. "Brother Dugu, you're wrong. The 10 martial sages who participated in the weapon's spirit root refinement stood out from the Wei Nation War. They were the 10 with the strongest body refinement, aptitude, and temperament. They even had the ability to kill those who had completed the Qi refinement realm. I originally thought that they would all succeed, but I didn't expect that 3 of them would lose control of their spirit root due to their weak divine senses, and they died. The first generation of mortal martial artists of the body refining pavilion stood out in the secular world and entered the body refining pavilion. Then, they were selected in the immortal cultivation world war. After hundreds of people were selected, only 7 of them successfully formed acquired spirit roots and stepped into the immortal cultivation world. However, this was only the beginning of body refinement cultivation. If they wanted to reach a higher realm and increase their lifespan, there would be many difficulties. The difficulty of mortal-immortal cultivation far exceeded that of immortal cultivators with spirit root. However, if these mortal martial artists were to succeed in their cultivation, they would definitely be the strongest among their peers. Pavilion Master, these 7 people should have entered the 5 Elements Pavilion in the end. Lu Kuan nodded. They refined the 5 Elements golden core, so it's best for them to cultivate the 5 Elements body refinement art. It can be said that most of the future disciples of the 5 Elements Pavilion came from mortal martial artists. Dugufeng murmured, "No wonder Pavilion Master built the warrior's holy city at the border of the Jin Nation. With the situation of the secular world in the Jin Nation, the number of martial artists far exceeds that of the Wei Nation. It's the birthplace of the body refining pavilion's disciples." When Lu Kuan heard this, he suddenly thought of something and said, "By the way, I heard that one of Brother Dugu's descendants with amazing talent is also planning to go to the warrior's sacred city?" Dugufeng hesitated for a moment and said awkwardly, "Yes, Pavilion Master. Yiming admires the ancient sword cultivation path. He wants to find a way to continuously strengthen his meridians in the body refinement mantra, so as to promote the ancient sword cultivation path." When Lu Kuan saw his expression, he laughed loudly and said, "Brother Dugu, I've already said that after the Heavenly Sword sect merged into the body refining pavilion, the original cultivation techniques would continue to be passed down. The sword body arts would just be a branch of the Heavenly Sword Pavilion. If this brat can really find a way to strengthen his meridians from the body refinement art, it means that the Sky Sword Pavilion's traditional sword cultivator lineage is inseparable from the body refinement art. Brother Dugu, you don't have to worry about anything. When Dugufeng heard Lu Kuan's words, he felt relieved. A disciple with such terrifying aptitude like Dugu Yiming, who wholeheartedly wanted to promote the ancient sword cultivation path when the Heavenly Sword Pavilion had just merged into the Body Refining Pavilion, would inevitably be criticized by others. Dugu Feng's expression turned serious and he said, "Pavilion Master, what instructions do you have for me this time?" Lu Kuan said, "It's nothing important. I just want to trouble Brother Dugu to help me refine tools." Dugu Feng was slightly surprised and said, "Pavilion Master, in terms of refining tools, I'm only ordinary." While Lu Kuan rubbed his temples and said with some distress, "Brother Dugu also knows that the body refinement art is different from ordinary cultivation techniques. It doesn't have the power of the nascent soul, and Yu Xian's strange fire isn't strong enough. This time, I invited Brother Dugu to come over to borrow the nascent soul's strange fire." Dugu Feng revealed a curious expression. Normally, a core formation stage strange fire would be more than enough to refine a normal treasure. He asked, "Pavilion Master, what kind of special treasure do you want to refine?" Lu Kuan's hand flashed and a brick-like deformed piece of meat wrapped in a layer of gray muscles appeared in his hand. He slowly said, "Brother Dugu, this treasure that destroyed Shi Jingtian's nascent soul is a unique treasure for body refinement cultivators that Lu researched." Battle treasure? Dugu Feng's eyes widened as he looked at the piece of meat. It was wrapped in a layer of gray muscles. Although it looked lifeless at such a close distance, he could still feel the power of qi and blood. It didn't look like a treasure at all. Instead, it looked like a dead creature. However, it was this deformed treasure that destroyed Shi Jingtian's nascent soul teleportation technique and killed him. Lu Kuan rubbed the dead and stiff muscles on the battle treasure and sighed. "When I killed Shi Jingtian, this battle treasure wasn't completely refined. Forcefully using it caused it to be damaged by more than half." Dugu Feng asked, "Pavilion Master, you want to repair this battle treasure?" Lu Kuan waved his hand and a pile of black and white stones appeared on the broken dragon rock in front of him. There was also a dim black and white spiritual ruler. He said, "Other than repairing the battle treasure, Lu also wants to use the demonic abyss unique demonic stone to refine a special treasure." "Demonic stone?" Lu Kuan exclaimed. "The environment of the Devil's Pool is very special. It gave birth to a miraculous item like the demonic stone. It is extremely compatible with both mana and demonic powers." He picked up a black and white stone and said, "The white part of the demonic stone contains the 5 elements. The black part is purely demonic. The two are combined in a unique way. The top technique of the miraculous gate, the demonic spirit chaos technique, was created according to the environment of the Devil's Pool and the miraculous item like the demonic stone. It was then perfected by generations of miraculous gate elders." At this point, Lu Kuan looked at the spiritual ruler at the side. Shi Jingtian's demonic ruler magic treasure was refined with the demonic stone as the main material. Under the effect of the demonic powers and the demonic spirit fusion spiritual power, it contains the power of destruction. Its attack power is shocking. He revealed a trace of regret. Unfortunately, the demonic powers in the demonic spirit ruler were completely destroyed after a few revolutions. The magic treasure refined with the demonic stone is still unable to withstand the circulation of the demonic powers. The demonic spirit ruler was destroyed by the Pavilion Master's demonic powers? Dugu Feng was dumbfounded. When he was strengthening his meridians, he heard Lu Kuan mention about demonic powers. It was a unique energy after a body cultivator entered the nascent soul stage. It was a combination of demonic powers and magic powers. However, he did not expect demonic powers to be so destructive to magic treasures. Even the magic treasure of a grand cultivator could be destroyed from the inside. It was simply unimaginable how demonic powers operated in a human's body. The Pavilion Master's magic treasure must have been refined to adapt to demonic powers. Dugu Feng frowned. If that's the case, Then the demonic stone cannot be refined into a magic treasure? It can't be refined into a magic treasure. However, it can be refined into an auxiliary magic treasure. Lu Kuan smiled gently. Spiritual light flashed on the dragon-breaking stone, and two small jade figures appeared, one black and one white. He said, "This is the demonic spirit chaos techniques, demonic spirit chaos techniques, demonic spirit chaos technique. For sure Jingtian, the jade infant is his natal magic treasure. It provides the demonic spirit ruler with the demonic spirit fusion spiritual energy. The demonic spirit infant is a magic treasure that stores demonic powers." Dugufeng thought of something and could not help but ask, "The Pavilion Master's demonic powers have both spiritual and demonic powers. Could it be that he is using the demonic spirit fusion stone to store demonic powers?" Lu Kuan's eyes flashed. "That's right. Although the demonic spirit fusion stone cannot withstand the circulation of demonic powers, it is still very compatible with demonic powers. If the demonic spirit fusion stone is combined with the magic treasure, it might be possible to refine a magic treasure that can only store demonic powers. A top-grade magic treasure like the demonic spirit fusion stone can only be refined with the nascent soul flame. Also, just in case, I will teach Brother Dugu the divine sense fusion technique. I will listen to the Pavilion Master's instructions." Afterward, Lu Kuan taught Dugu Feng the part of the spirit sensing art that involved the integration of soul and consciousness. Although Dugu Feng could use his finger bone to carve a miniature magic formation, the forging process this time was more complicated than the forging of a battle treasure. It would be better to have the assistance of soul and consciousness. Chapter 975. Several days later, a powerful spiritual sense storm suddenly appeared around the steeple of the artifact refining hall. A terrifying spiritual sense power soared into the sky. If a nascent soul cultivator was present, they would discover that this spiritual sense power had almost reached the peak of the nascent soul middle stage. It was only a hair's breadth away from the grand cultivator stage. After a full quarter of an hour, the astonishing spiritual sense power gradually dissipated. In the room of the steeple, Dugu Feng opened his eyes, which flashed with amazement. This is the Pavilion Master, and Zhu Siming perfected the soul-sensing art. It actually took a different approach and strengthened the spiritual sense through the nerves of the body. Lu Kuan revealed a look of reminiscence. The original soul-sensing art was a technique used by the Yeyang clan to assist in refining tools. The first half of the technique used the spiritual sense to strengthen the nerves and senses of the body. The second half reversed the process and used the nerves of the body to strengthen the spiritual sense. Elder Zhu's talent in the spiritual sense was astonishing. After he obtained the Vajra arts, he combined it with the cultivation of the nerves of the body to perfect the soul-sensing art. The effect of strengthening the spiritual sense greatly increased. He even researched the soul-sensing art with martial uncle Nie Wufeng. Dugu Feng felt the feedback of the spiritual sense and sighed. Although it can't strengthen the spiritual sense of a cultivator above the core formation stage, the soul-sensing art can still be considered a top-secret technique. Lu Kuan heard this and frowned. Brother Dugu is right. The soul-sensing art can at most increase the spiritual sense to the early core formation stage. As he spoke, his eyes flashed with a trace of seriousness. When Lu Kuan first created the body refining art, he discovered that the body refining art had a very limited effect on the spiritual sense. Only the transformation of the soul brought about by crossing a large realm could greatly increase the power of the spiritual sense, just like the traditional immortal cultivation art. When he was cultivating the body refining art, he also cultivated the foundation of the immortal cultivation art to the great circle of the Qi refining stage. He swallowed the scarlet fire royal jelly and learned the soul-sensing art perfected by Zhu Siming. The foundation of his spiritual sense was incomparably deep and had always been higher than cultivators of the same level. Moreover, after passing through the terrifying heaven and earth thunder tribulation, Lu Kuan's spiritual sense had undergone an astonishing transformation, reaching the middle Yuanying stage, so he ignored the weakness of his spiritual sense. Now that he thought about it, although the body-tempering art had been integrated with the spirit-sensing technique, its effects were not inferior to traditional cultivation technique. However, this effect could only last until the early stage of the core formation realm. If a first-generation disciple entered the middle stage of the bone treasure realm, the weakness of the spiritual awareness would gradually become apparent, and even affect the breakthrough of the bone transformation stage. The spirit sensory art uses the nerves of the physical body, which belongs to the peripheral nervous system. It does not involve the central nervous system, which is the nerves of the spinal cord and the brain. If I work on the central nervous system, it might be possible to strengthen the spirit sensory technique. After pondering for a moment, Lu Kuan decided to put this matter aside. There were more important matters at hand. Since Brother Dugu has mastered the divine sense unification secret technique, let's begin. Yes, Pavilion Master. Lu Kuan waved his hand, and the dragon-breaking stone flashed with spiritual light. In addition to the lifeless treasure, several materials appeared. Among them, a purple-black bone with bone spurs was the most conspicuous, exuding an astonishing demonic aura. Dugu Feng was stunned. "This is a level 8 demonic bone?" Lu Kuan said. "Yes, the main material of the treasure is the demonic bone. The refining of the prototype of this treasure is quite conservative, using a level 7 demonic bone. If it was a level 8 demonic bone, it would not have been damaged so badly. Now that it is repaired, it is just right to integrate more advanced materials." After that, Lu Kuan opened his mouth slightly, and a cloud of silver blood mist, exuding a strong power of qi and blood, wrapped up the grayish-black deformed meat, and soon disappeared into it. "Brother Dugu, please divide the nascent soul true fire into 2 groups, one to burn the demonic bone, and the other to wrap the treasure." Dugu Feng nodded. Along with the high temperature and sharp aura, 2 pale golden flames appeared on the dragon-breaking stone. The deformed meat on the treasure seemed to be stimulated, quickly twitching, and began to shrink inwardly. Dugu Feng's eyes didn't blink as he curiously looked at this treasure that was unique to body cultivators. Sizzle! As the flames burned, a grayish-black demonic aura was emitted from the deformed meat, and the room was filled with a rotten smell. After about 10 minutes, the deformed meat completely melted, revealing a gray bone that looked like a brick. At this time, Lu Kuan raised his hands and directly reached into the 2 nascent soul true fires. "Pavilion Master, you." Dugu Feng was halfway through his words when he realized that Lu Kuan's body was so strong that it couldn't be damaged by the nascent soul true fires. Sure enough, his hands were not damaged at all by the nascent soul true fires. Not only that, his 10 fingers were nimbly tapping on the treasure and the demonic bone, making dull dang-dang sounds as if there were 10 miniature forging hammers. Although the 10 fingers were small, the strong wind in the air showed that each tap contained a terrifying force. Dugu Feng felt a stinging pain on his skin, and he couldn't help but put up a magic power shield. After several hours, a flat, wide, and deformed meat was suspended in the air. It was thicker than before, and it emitted a strong power of qi and blood. The muscle fibers on it were rhythmically twitching, and rich demonic aura was constantly injected into it. Dugu Feng murmured. Pavilion Master transferred his own flesh and blood into the treasure and let it absorb the demonic aura on its own. It's like a flesh and blood clone. It's really incredible. Lu Kuan controlled the treasure to absorb the demonic aura through his blood essence and said, "Brother Dugu, you should be familiar with the refining of the treasure, but the fusing Yuan demonic treasure that I derived is somewhat different from the treasure." Several days later, Lu Kuan put away the prototype of the treasure that had recovered its demonic aura to the early core formation stage. Then, he waved his hand, and a pile of fusing yuan demonic stones appeared on the broken dragon stone, as well as several weaker level 7 demonic bones. Although he had destroyed the miraculous gate and made a deal with Qian Jingshan, and he had a lot of demonic bones above level 8, the refining method of the fusing yuan demonic treasure was only a preliminary derivation. The refining process had to be verified repeatedly, and he couldn't afford to waste level 8 materials. Then, under the calcination of Dugu Feng's true fire, the materials were divided into 5 parts. The fusing yuan demonic stones turned into a black and white liquid, and the demonic bones were divided into gray, black, and purple materials. Lu Kuan's bone claws flashed in the flames, combining the purple materials and the black and white liquid of the fusing yuan demonic stones. The space in the bone marrow cavity of the treasure is not small because it has to leave space for the internal muscles. But the fusing yuan demonic treasure is different. It only needs one function, and that is to store demonic energy in a static state. In the battle of the bone transformation stage, in addition to demonic energy, blood essence is also equally important. Demonic energy ensures the existence of the body's source strength, while blood essence provides long-lasting strength and the body's recovery ability. While storing blood essence and demonic energy, it also needs to use the characteristics of the fusing yuan demonic stone. Then, there is only one structure that can meet the requirements, and that is the end of the long bone, the structure of pure bone. Under the tremor of the power of the void and the kneading of the bone claws, a fist-sized ball gradually took shape. It was densely packed with fine particles of 3 different colors. This kind of pure bone had a loose structure like a miniature beehive. Blood essence could be stored in it. Using the fusing yuan demonic stones to construct the beehive, it could be in contact with demonic energy at all times, fully displaying its compatibility with demonic energy. Then, Lu Kuan grabbed the black material. Under the effect of the power of the void, it turned into a thin layer of dense bone material, wrapping around the outside of the bone. Brother Dugu, Divine Sense as one. The peak of the middle nascent soul stage Divine Sense soared into the sky and began to carve a miniature array on the inside of the bone layer. In addition to the spirit array to stabilize the demonic energy, there was also an energy storage array. This was the core of the fusing yuan dual nascent souls that could store demonic energy. While carving the array, Lu Kuan spat out a mass of silver blood essence mixed with some demonic energy, sinking into the unformed ball of bone. Without the support of the life force, the demonic energy exuded an astonishing destructive power. The miniature beehive-like bone emitted bursts of crackling sounds, as if it was being destroyed by the destructive power. Lu Kuan had already expected this. This was his first time refining, so he needed to adjust 2 key points during the refining process. The first was the distribution of the materials of the beehive. He needed to ensure the compatibility of the fusing yuan demonic stone, so it could be evenly distributed. The second was the combination of the array of the dense bone layer. These miniature arrays were located on the inside of the dense bone and couldn't be carved with fingers. Lu Kuan's power of the void had to coordinate with the adjustment of the inner bone layer, so he needed to use his divine sense to carve. Lu Kuan was multitasking while refining the fusing yuan demonic stone. Fortunately, he had the help of Dugu Feng's divine sense, which made it much easier for him. In this way, half a month passed. After consuming 3 complete sets of 7th-grade demonic bones and a large amount of demonic materials, Lu Kuan held a gray ball slightly larger than a fist in his hand. It emitted a strong aura of blood essence and demonic energy. Lu Kuan's face lit up. He could clearly feel that this ball stored half of his demonic energy and blood essence. Dugu Feng sat cross-legged to the side, recovering the demonic energy in his body. He looked at the ball and the corner of his mouth twitched. The materials he had consumed during this period of time could be exchanged for at least 10 demonic treasures. The Pavilion Master had created the body refinement lineage, so it was obvious that he had consumed a lot of resources. At this moment, Dugu Feng suddenly felt a heart-palpitating aura appear. Before he could react, Lu Kuan's burly body blocked in front of him. The gray ball in his hand emitted a dizzying silver light. Boom, boom, boom. An extremely terrifying destructive power surged out, and the fusing Yuan demonic stone that they had worked so hard to refine actually exploded. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.